Hey guys, we're going live. We got about 10 minutes before the show starts, but I see y'all. It's gonna be an exciting show today. If you guys want to, message me, make comments, I'm happy to respond. I'm just setting up my computer now, but we're gonna go live on AM 940 in a little bit.
950.
No, excuse me, AM 950. I'm already getting in trouble. Producer Shan's gonna hit me. So I'm already getting in trouble. Oh, I'm getting phone calls too. Hey, Randall.
Hey,
I'm on my way. What time does the show start? 1:30?
No, the show starts at 1 o'clock, and you can tune in on AM 950.
All right, well, I'm already in my car.
Cool.
Private, so
Us.
I'll be there. And that's great. Just go to the studio then.
Take
2200 West Loop South.
I think it's 2000 West Loop South, and you'll see Post Oak Bank and iHeartMedia. You'll see it there, and whenever you get there, you pull into the lobby, and you let me know you're there, and I'll send someone down. Of course, we'll go down to pick you up.
Okay, brother. And I was supposed to get a text or something?
It should have given you an auto text. That's what I'm kind of confused about. So I'm gonna kind of look. I'm gonna look at that.
I did not receive it. Maybe due to my hectic lifestyle, I hit the wrong button, but I did not receive it. Anyway, I'm coming there.
I'll see you shortly. As long as you're here before 1, what the show ends at. Excuse me, the show ends at 2. So.
No, today it's 1:45.
Oh, the show ends. Excuse me.
I'm already on the 610 loop.
Cool. I'll see you shortly.
All right, thanks. Bye.
You're right. It is 1:45. It's a 45-minute show.
Yeah.
He's already on his way. He'll be here shortly. He's not that far away. Okay. Hey, everybody. Taking phone calls that's Randall Killian, who he sues the city more than I do. He's going to be our guest. He has a very interesting lifestyle, but he is the guru, one of the gurus on suing the city. So he's a really interesting guy. Going to be a great guest. Personal friend of mine. He's a real interesting guy. Okay. Let's see. I'm just setting up my computers, guys. Just give me a minute. Okay. So I'm both calling.
So today should be a lot of caller feedback, like a lot of. If we had
What's a good phone number? Well, what's the number?
713.
Oh yeah.
212.
212
5950.
5950. That is if anyone you want to call. Can't type and talk at once. Oh, cool. Looks like Brian, even Brian Swern's zooming in, coming in, streaming in. Oh man, it's been a long week. It's been a long, bloody week, folks. And if I seem out of it, it's because, oh Lord, it's just been so sad. It's so sad. Oh, sad. Okay, so now we're streaming. We should be streaming on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, StreamMe, Vaughn, Mixer, VK. Let's put it also on my. Let's see, is it Eric VTech or Eric Tech? I always forget which one. I think it's that one. Let's put it on page 2. Should be streaming on everything now.
All right, we're about 6 minutes away from going
there's one of my
live on
favorite
your
people,
Airstream.
Bonnie.
9:50 a.m. Chris Carmona here with the Honorable Eric B. Dick.
One of the last.
Eric B. Dick Show.
I'm one of the last. Chris called me honorable, and I'm
one of the last honorable left in
I'm
Harris County.
one of the last Republicans left in Harris County.
Oh
boy, it is.
We'll go live. Like I said, we'll go live on the radio around 106. And in the meantime, if y'all have anything y'all want us to talk about, y'all want to call in, start queuing up in line. Producer Shannon will take care of y'all. But we got a lot to talk about today. the massacre that happened. I mean, you know what? I want to rephrase. I want to use a different term because I want to pay homage to the shooting in Thousand Oaks, California. That was truly a massacre. What happened in Las Vegas was truly a massacre last year. Mass shootings, those are massacres. So we'll just say it's a wipeout and a tsunami that happened on Tuesday because I don't want to overlook the importance of the true word of the word massacre. But if y'all have anything y'all want to add, you want to vent, you think you have the answers, or you're satisfied with the results, anything of that nature, make sure y'all call in about 6-7 minutes after we get the show started, or you can just drop some questions or your comments on the live feed, and we'll be monitoring this throughout the show, and we'll comment on it. And like I said, it's always fun if you can call in and we can go back and forth because y'all may have some great answers. Y'all may have the answers to the problems in Harris County, or you may be, celebrating what happened Tuesday in Harris County, saying this is what needed to happen. This is going to be good for the county. So we'll see. But like I said, we have about 5 minutes. So, Vaughn, why do you hate everything, man? What's going on? You can't hate everything.
Republican siding, Bonnie.
I mean, you can't hate everything, but why would you hate everything?
Oh, man.
Life is good, man. We woke up this morning. The sun's still shining out there. Nice, cool, brisk 55 degrees. I'm able to wear my Rockets back-to-back championship sweater, even though they're no longer champions and they looking far from champions this year. But hey, I get to break out the hoodie. So what do you hate, Jason Vaughn? Tell me what do you hate, man? What's wrong?
Oh, folks, man. Is that Jason?
Yeah, Jason Vaughn.
Oh, Jason Vaughn crying over on Chris's social media. You need to figure out how to link them both so we could.
Let's see, Tiffany. Yeah, changes coming. Trust that. I hope it is. But from my side, it could be gloating, but we'll see how the shareholders play out. That's true. And see, that's the thing. I mean, people like Robert Glazer, they don't really ever gloat. They're humble in their victories, and they're realists and optimists about things that can actually happen going forward with this county in different departments. So we appreciate the objectiveness of that. Let's discuss the Tarrant County has fallen Harris 2016 to have
more than that. Tarrant is the kind of the thermometer of Texas. That should terrify everybody that Tarrant County changed, and that's the county that usually is dead on with Texas. We got a couple more minutes.
You have anything in here?
I'm not getting anything. Oh, it's silent for a little bit before it goes. It goes silent for the news type of stuff that happens right before.
You're not angry. You just need to be snickers. You just need Snickers.
I'm gonna tell it like it is, Ben. I will. I'm glad to see Bonnie tuning in. Kelly, my neighbor, Carla.
Yeah, Tiffany's saying precinct
Joe
pissed, and they should be pissed. They have reason to be pissed because a lot of things that people are saying right now. I'm not the "I told you so" type of guy, and I'm not gonna say "I told you so," but a lot of the things and recommendations and recaps that are coming out now are things that have been put in a blueprint, and that some particular person actually not only campaigned on and said this is what needs to happen, has been saying it to other people for the last 4 years, if not longer.
To be fair, Chris, I don't think there's some stuff that we could have done to make maybe the damage not as bad. And I'll give the alcoholic, I'll give him a drop of credit that he did raise money and got drunk. But anyway, I'll give him credit that maybe the county itself maybe was going to go Democrat. But people like Ed Emmett, I don't know. He should have won. And Jack Mormon, we're only talking a couple thousand votes. There's no reason. And our messaging was horrible. Our messaging was sellouts.
The messaging was horrible.
And we sent out big mailers. The county Republicans sent out big mailers. Oh,
it's on automation right now. It's gonna hop over, and you'll hear it again.
Okay.
Yeah, that's producer Shannon. I gotta watch out. She almost beat me up last time. Actually, she did beat me up, but you can't see any of the bruises. I asked her,
no social contact.
See,
okay, there it is. It's back in.
I thought she was going
popped in
I thought she was going after me again.
Oh,
she's gonna tell me to be quiet. Oh man!
Yeah, but you make good points, and we'll talk about it on the air too. But can this have been not? See, that's the thing though.
Maybe
if you recall, what I kept saying was earlier this year.
Maybe so, maybe not.
Is that it's not really about the 2018 elections anymore. Those are going to be what they're going to be. But it's about 2020 and 2022 and then beyond. And those those footprints had to be done this year in order to make sure we had a chance going forward. And that groundwork has not been laid down.
I think it's interesting whether or not Emmett cost himself the election.
Oh, he definitely
whether he
did.
crossed. You think he did?
When he told people don't vote straight ticket, that was a sign to Republicans that said, you know what, don't vote straight ticket for me either, because there was a lot of Republicans that did not vote for Ed Emmett.
But he was the highest vote. He was the highest vote getter.
Wasn't high enough.
Well, hey, I'm not denying that. Wasn't high enough.
Oh.
And I'm not saying I support hunker down. I don't. But I'm just saying that the fact of the matter is he did get the highest votes. What that means, I'm not sure. Oh, they're gonna start telling us to get on.
Now, Vaughn, about Culberson, you know what? They had a lot of back and forth commercials on that, and one of my favorite commercials was him in an astronaut suit, because he really does have that close relationship with NASA, which is a good relationship. But it was just hilarious to actually see a commercial about that. Rolando, good seeing you, man. You gonna run for chair? That's what I hear. Let us know, Rolando Garcia. You running for chair? You and Gil Standard, chair, co-chair? What's going on?
Might as well.
That's what I hear, man. That's what I hear. That they say they don't choose to run. It's a calling.
Well, it should.
Hey, man, the phone's ringing. So somebody needs to answer that calling.
There's a lot of calling. Someone's got. It's the leadership is. It's all gone. It's all gone.
Vaughn, you were in D.C. with Bacham in 2016 when met with Culberson, right? And that's when he met that right on the astronaut, right?
Oh,
good
no.
time.
Oh no.
Here it goes. Oh, I forget they don't ever get to hear.
Show that of the host and guests, and do not reflect the opinions of this station or iHeartMedia.
Oh no. When you've got big problems, you need to have a big
What?
homeowner insurance lawyer and trustee for the Harris County Department of Education.
You guys hear that?
This is the Eric Dick Show.
You guys hear that? I guess they can't. Hey, we're back. Oh boy, and that was painful. It was so painful being away, and there is a ton of stuff to talk about. This is Eric Dick, one of the few elected Republicans in Harris County. The very, very few.
Man, Eric Dick, what happened this past Tuesday? First of all, let's welcome everybody to the Eric Dick Show. I am Chris Carmona, along with Eric B. Dick, the Houston homeowners insurance attorney. But today, we're talking about floods. Harris County got flooded with Democrats on Tuesday. What happened?
A lot of things happened. First things, I've been rather depressed after a Tuesday. I've been kind of sitting around, going through the stages of, shock, denial, anger.
Were you really in denial, though? I mean, we saw this coming. I mean, you can't really be in that much now, because we've been sounding some alarms for a few years now.
I was in denial about Jack Mormon. Jack ran a really, really good campaign, and I was in denial that he lost. And that guy he's just a class act, a really nice guy, campaigning how you're supposed to campaign, and reflected on how close that race is. But I've been in denial that he lost. Just denial.
Now, does that open up a window, him losing, does that open up a window for him to run in State Senate District 6 now that Sylvia Garcia has stepped down, become now the Congresswoman-elect, and there'll be a special election on December 11th to fill that seat? Can Jack Mormon beat Carol Alvarado in State Senate District 6?
He probably could. That's fascinating. I've never thought about that. I've been more just kind of waddling in my self-pity and crying a little bit at night about how bad we got beat down.
Oh, it was bad. There's no question about that.
I mean, people need to realize that this is going to be long felt. Like there's going to be Democrats in Harris County strongly. I mean, at least 10 years. It might be 20. It might be 30.
Oh, I mean, the wave definitely took place.
It wasn't a wave; it was a tsunami.
And that's the thing. But we've talked in the past about things that, and maybe not on this show, but we've talked extensively in the past, over and over again, about changing leadership. And if we're not going to change leadership, the leadership needs to listen to the grassroots and it needs to listen to the community in terms of what things will move people to vote for a conservative candidate or a Republican brand. And no one thought to say, hey, let's go ahead and do that this year. Let's give it a try.
No, what the party did instead is they just do what they would do. It our current chairman likes to do is just sell out to special interests, send out some mailers paid for by special interests. I mean, it has their logos, and basically what it tells the younger generation who came out in a very large group is that we're just sellouts. We're the party of no. That's what the Republicans have become. They've been the party of we can't do anything. All we do is we criticize the Democrats. I mean, we have not done. I don't know what we stand for.
And see, that's the thing is we've always, or not always, but recently the last few cycles we've been the party of negativity. It's always been about attacking this, negative this. We've lost what someone says is the shining star, the beacon of hope mantra we used to carry. But that's why a lot of people really fell in love with Dan Crenshaw this year, because he embodied that new hope and that there was a vision. It wasn't about being negative, but it was actually about being optimistic about this country, about this county, about this state. And we saw Dan Crenshaw actually win his election.
True, but Dan Crenshaw needs to be extremely careful, because he is a target in 2020 by the Democrats. I mean, he probably is one of the biggest helps we could have in Harris County, and there's a lot of potential with him. Maybe if John Cornyn just stepped down and Greg Abbott appointed Dan Crenshaw, because what we need to really, 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 really think about is Beto going to run again? Because if I was Beto,
he's definitely running again. It's just, what is he going to run for? Is he going to be against Cornyn, or is he going to actually make that jump and run for president?
Yeah, and if he runs against Cornyn, Cornyn's going to lose, because I cannot vote for Cornyn. And if it's between Beto and Cornyn, I'm not going to vote.
Yeah, and a lot of people actually felt that way this year about Beto and Cruz. But a lot of people couldn't get over the fact that Cruz, after Donald Trump had bashed him personally, attacked his wife, attacked his father, they couldn't believe that he actually came out and endorsed and supported and campaigned with Trump. And a lot of people sat home because of that and made it a closer race than it probably should have been across the state.
Well, that's true. And I think Cruz lost a lot of credibility. And he's lost a lot of credibility because how he treats people. I mean, his tone, it changed on his winning speech, on the election night speech, some, but not enough. And he just comes off as condescending. He doesn't come off as, and he's kind of a no candidate. He's
plain vanilla red meat, and that's it. There's nothing there that ties people together, moves people. What I call sex appeal. There's no sex appeal in the current GOP right now.
None.
Dan Crenshaw had some. He had a little bit of sex appeal. I mean, but other than him, there's really nothing out there. Because again, no one wants to see continuous and constant negativity about why we hate someone else. And I use the word hate because that's what we've been trained, our brainwash to do, is hate people instead of embracing where we are in our community, where we are in our state and our country, embracing diversity and moving forward with principles that actually pull people together and show what the Republican brand is about. I think if everybody needs to go back and check out Jack Kemp and what he stood for, I think we'd be in a better situation going forward as a Republican brand.
I agree. I think there's a lot of things that can be done. One of it is just changing our local leadership, because as Bonnie Lugo is saying, she doesn't know where he's at. And I know some people asked him just to resign because it could not be any worse.
And that's like, should they have to ask him to resign?
No.
I mean, if you lose 2 cycles in a row that bad, would you not 12 noon the next day step down?
I agree. We got a caller, Steve.
Oh, bring him in.
Producer Shannon, you know how to do this? Because I'm just a single-minded lawyer. He's gone. Steve's gone. Oh, okay. Steve, call back because
Steve, if you're there, call back.
We don't know what we're doing here. We're just lawyers. We know how to sue people, but we don't know how to mess with machines. How to add.
That's true. Math can be funny sometimes, except when we're looking at the numbers for Harris County and the results. That math was easy to see. And that's like this whole thing about blaming straight ticket.
Oh boy, that's so dumb.
Even if we hadn't had straight ticket, there's no message that encourages people to vote Republican. How do they not understand that?
Well, let's just say there is no straight ticket. Let's just say if you just look at the voting turnout and you just take out all the straight ticket voting, Republican and Democrat, we still lose.
We do. But you have bloggers, you have journal or AKA journal, a supposed journalist, people who run publications, high paid consultants. They're going to tell you that that's all they do is this. It's straight ticket, and that's the reason we lost.
Steve, you there? Oh.
Welcome to the Eric B. Dick Show, Steve.
We're doing good, Steve. How are you doing?
For over 25 years, and it's been one of those things where we can kind of see it coming down the Gulf Freeway with lights and sirens on, and those of us who have experienced the highs and the lows understand what everybody's going through right now, and we want to do something. We want to create a better environment for people to get to know what Harris County Republican Party is all about. That's what I am.
But Steve, how do we do that? What is the magic pill, and do you see as the biggest problem in HCRP leadership right now, and why are they refusing to listen to the grassroots?
Well, the only thing I can really imagine from the years that I've been doing this is it takes.
And hold that thought, Steve. Hold that thought. We have to take a break, and we'll be right back with you.
You there, Steve? Okay, cool. Yeah, sorry, we were getting yelled at by producer Shannon's about to come in with the stick and hit me again. Just tell me I gotta take breaks, and I don't want to take breaks. I just want to plow right through it. Once I get started, I don't stop. But so, what do you do, Steve? What are you into? Obviously, you know about our local judges, Sherry Dean, Farr, all of them really good, really good family law judges.
Yeah, active precinct chair over in SD 11. Yeah.
So you're a precinct chair over in SD 11? Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. No, I'm sure I would. Oh. It's just, we're going to be, just give us a minute. I'll take your time. Whenever you're.
I gotta ask you something.
Oh, it's nothing. It's. I guess we're gonna really dig into. Oh,
Okay.
Sorry, Bonnie can't hear.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. So she was extending the time. We were on there the whole time.
I know.
The music was playing.
Oh, we were.
Yeah.
Oh,
So we're trying to give us time to wrap them up.
Oh, jeez, I thought we were breaking. Oh,
That's what I thought. Because it didn't seem right. It seemed longer than 30 seconds.
yeah.
That's what I said. She's like, yeah, I was trying to give her more time.
Oh, okay. Well, then we messed that up.
We'll figure it out. All right, let's see. What else we got to go? Who's all
We got
on here
Don
now?
too. Don calling too.
Don's calling in. Hooper's
Yeah.
calling in.
Is that Hooper? Yeah. No, it's Don from Angleton.
Oh, Don from Angleton.
Yeah, Don from
Oh.
Angleton. I know Steve's still on the line. We've got to take a break. We've got an extended break. We got too excited here.
Let's see. Courtney.
Oh, man.
Yvette.
Oh.
Build a wall around me. Why you don't build a wall around me? You need
Sorry,
to be
Bonnie
out
couldn't hear.
everywhere.
I'm okay. I see you can't hear from the caller, the questions from the caller. I'm going to try to adjust the studio monitor. That's what I'm going to try to adjust so you guys can hear whenever we go back. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna try to do.
Let's see.
Oh.
Go back up.
Okay. Okay, she said I could come back. I had my time out. You there? Are you there, Steve? Okay, so we were talking about just the tsunami that happened to once just a vibrant Republican Party in Harris County. I mean, it was just, and we had some amazing judges, some of the best of the best. And I'm thinking about people like Sherry Dean. It was just one of the sweetest women out there that would just do everything she could to help people. And then, you know, and we had some really, really bad judges too. I'm not going to deny that. But, you know, they're all gone. And what caused the great demise and destruction of the local party? What do you think, Steve?
Well, I would say that most of these folks that we've known and worked with, I mean, a very, very good friend of mine, Angelina Gooden, who was appointed by Governor Abbott to that particular bench. That was a specialty position. And I think that Harris County is going to suffer because what she actually brought to the table is what the governor and some of the efforts that we needed to do to support what she did is now going to be in the hands of somebody who's never really done this before, I guess, as far as being real focused on a particular position.
Okay. One thing is, I agree with you on Angelina. She was doing good work. I'm not going to deny that. But Barb, the attorney, the person that did win that, Barbara Babs, she's not a bad person. And I don't think
Yeah, there could have been a lot worse candidates in there.
Worse.
Barbara Stalder actually used to run the University of Houston Practicing Attorneys Division. Like if you were going through clinical trials, she would actually go over there and work with those. She'd do the mediations over there. So she has a better grasp on it than a lot of people would have who she beat out in the primary. I mean, it's not going to be the same without Angelina on the bench, but at least that's one of the few benches that I can honestly say I'm not going to be too worried about.
I agree with you on that. I practice in those courts, which it's a hard court and it's very sensitive type of subjects. But yeah, thank you so much, Steve, for calling in, and we really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Oh man.
Now Steve makes some good points, and Steve's an insider. I guess we'd call it insider in local politics because he lives it, he breathes it, he attends all these executive committee meetings, so he understands firsthand what the actual issues are and what the party's failing to do. Now, we've been saying for at least going back to 2014 when we saw these trends, if not 2012 when we saw these trends happening, is that we have to have segmented messages by county, by different areas of the county. We can't have a one-size-fits-all message. I mean, Dick, are we ever going to listen to that? And are we ever going to get away with the same cookie-cutter message all across the county?
I don't know that we are. And we're too focused on just being the no party, being the party that just wants to break stuff, being the party that isn't really trying to unify. We're the party that says all government's bad and there's no exception, that we want to get rid of it all, even though we need certain things. We're the party of no. We're the party, we're the negative party. We're the party that says everything the Democrats do is wrong, which might not, I'm not saying that's not true, but there has to be a few things.
But does Harris County work?
No.
That was the biggest slogan. Harris County works. How can that translate and how does that resonate with a common voter who all they know is they're going to vote today because I'm being told today's election day, or I'm here for early vote because I'm told I have to vote? What does Harris County Works mean?
A lot of voters don't have a clue what Harris County Works means.
And I don't think that was the message being used predominantly this year. But that's the thing, is we didn't actually have a message this year.
We didn't have a message this year. We had nothing. All we had is, blaming people. We had, we showcased somewhat our judges. We showcased, and really all that was is a mailer that just had their pictures on it. there was a lot of infighting. I don't know, man. It's just so sad what's happened to Harris County. It was once just a big, vibrant a party. I remember whenever I first got involved in the local party, but it's not anymore. It does look like we have another caller, or do we have another caller? Why don't we bring the other caller on, if you don't mind, Producer Shannon? Oh, okay, Steve. We're going to bring you back, Steve. Shannon said I need to talk to you. So you there, Steve? Hello, you there, Steve? Okay, so what do you think we could do to improve, the party? What are our steps? Because I guess the first step is realizing we have a problem.
Get as many people in there running the elections in the individual precincts and get everybody trained up to work these elections. And that's one of my big issues that I work on. My concern is getting out the vote. We obviously got out the vote. It's just that the Democrats were able to do a straight.
We can bring him in now when you're ready. I just,
base was there.
It's all smooth. We can do this.
And just all day, I could tell in my precinct that it was going to be very, very close on a lot of key races, and state races that we had, and obviously the national races we did okay, but Harris County just went down into the tubes, and the way we crawl ourselves back from that, I feel, is we're going to have to really get some new ideas in there. Obviously, we always talk about improving our processes and making sure that we have the confidence of the voters who are not as plugged in as we are.
I turned off your mic, but I'll turn it back on when you're ready.
Ensure them that the polling and the polls and the integrity, the election integrity, is something that they can feel confident in. When they come in and see us, they vote, they walk out of there with the confidence that they've done their job, their voice will be heard.
Steve, you talked about voter integrity, and I want to touch.
And we appreciate your call, Steve. We do got another
Oh,
call.
we have another caller, Steve.
We do have another call. We really appreciate your call. Thank you, Steve. Philip, how are you?
What's going on, Mr. Eric Dick and Mr. Chris Cremona?
Oh, that sounds like Philip Paul Bryant.
This is Philip Paul Bryant speaking.
Phil Paul's Barbecue, Phil Paul's Bookstore, Phil Paul, what else you got going on?
Man, I heard you guys talking about the elections on this past week, and I definitely wanted to call in and give my 2 cents. I do agree with some of the callers, but I think the Republicans in Harris County should have maybe anticipated this by voting for Hillary Clinton this past 2016.
Well,
and then they would have had a reason for other Republicans to get out to vote.
I think what Philip's referring to is the how 2016 there's a Hillary Clinton won Harris County, and if you compare that to what Beto and Ted Cruz did, I mean, I was thinking that Ted Cruz would maybe get at the high end be 15% loss, but it was near 17. He did worse than Donald Trump did in Harris County.
Well, also you just gotta give people a reason. People, unfortunately,
I think you'll be able to hear yourself better if you do.
Really like the person that they're voting for, and we saw this during the 2016 election. People are motivated because they're pissed off and they're upset. That motivates people to vote. And so had we had Hillary Clinton in the White House right now, I guarantee you Republicans would have won Harris County hands down.
Phil, don't say words like that. We had to dump it. Okay, so anyway,
Philip, thanks for the call, man. You always bring an insightful position and perspective into the elections, and hopefully we'll hear more about Phil Paul's consulting in the future.
And the Kojic Pack. Thanks, Philip. Have a great day. So we got a really good guest that came in while we were doing a lot of things. And you there? You there, Philip? Okay.
And if y'all need to stay tuned, because if y'all know Eric Dick, y'all know he loves to sue people and the city of Houston. But if there's someone who likes to sue him even more, that's the guest we have today. And as soon as we come back from this break, we'll introduce y'all to this mystery man.
Thank y'all.
All right.
Okay, wait. I did it. Ha! Dropped it. I was trying to drop the call. I figured out how to drop it. I'm still learning this stuff.
I'm whispering all these commands to you. All you have to do is nod or whatever.
I'm sorry.
It's all good. No, you're good.
What are you trying to tell everybody hi?
Yeah, all of our people all of my people are getting mad. I got people too. Tell his people
So
hi.
let's just pull this directly in front of you. For some reason, it's coming in kind of strange, and I know that computer's in the way, and it's a pain. And I don't know who designed this, but yeah,
Is that better?
yeah, I think it will be. And good to have you. Welcome.
Randy, yeah.
I'm Shannon. All right. Yeah. Don't freak out if I whisper to you. No one else can hear me but you.
Well,
So
I know.
It's all good.
Get some flashbacks of a dream he had.
Oh,
Today's show being brought to you by Unsweet Straight Up Tea,
Looking at all my texts yesterday. I had to get one.
made by Snapple.
it's bizarre.
Yeah.
Use calendar.
We still live by Dr. Bragg's apple cider vinegar, but this stuff right here, for mid-afternoon snack, make sure you get Snapple, branded Straight Up Tea, unsweetened.
I don't call him, but I did. It's supposed to text me.
It's supposed to text you yesterday.
Philip Paul, you don't
Text you
agree,
3
Denver
times.
man
I'm
at
gonna
Trump.
check it again.
And
Philip, it's like I said, though.
would be calendar or what?
If you let
It'd
one
be
candidate or one
calendar.
person of your party
Yeah,
derail the
that's
whole
the app.
system, there's a deeper issue than just that one candidate.
Here's yesterday.
Trump should be able to come in here and come out with no
I'll know.
down ballot effect if we have a strong brand locally, a strong message locally, where people are like, you know what, our Republican Party locally takes care of us, has been doing this for the county, has been doing this for the city. We trust our Republicans, we trust our conservatives. One crazy person, one foul mouth person, it doesn't matter whether it's Trump or anybody else in any party, should
So we
not
got
have that effect.
we got
So
a good many people
blaming
watching.
Trump is just lazy and weak as an
Oh, y'all
excuse
can't hear shit.
because
No,
there's a
y'all
deeper
can't hear
problem
Shannon.
there,
That's
deeper
okay if y'all can hear
issue
Shannon.
about branding and messaging and how we connect with
So we
the
got
community.
a good feed. He's
Oh,
got a
that's
good
good.
feed. I got a good feed. Oh,
Oh, hey, and we're back.
oh, we're back. It has been a very interactive show today. So we have just, I like to sue the city of Houston. I consider it one of my favorite hobbies.
It's a good hobby to have.
And there's only a handful of people that enjoy it more than I do. We happen to have him as a guest today, Randall Killian. Isn't that right? Am I saying it right or am I saying it wrong, Randall?
Not quite. It's Randall Callan, but it's a pleasure to be on your show. Eric, I wanted to come on here. And Chris, it is so nice to see you again.
Oh, civil rights attorney. We got to make sure we put civil rights attorney.
Civil rights attorney.
Civil rights guru. More than he knows this stuff. I mean, all the big cases you see on the news, that's Randall.
All right.
What's
And I owe you $20 for saying that on the radio. Thank you very much.
so Randall? What's the
He was
last
just
case
joking
you-
for the payola rules.
Okay. What's the last case you've done with the city?
Well, I presently have about 5 or 6 at least city cases against the city. A lot of them involve excessive force, but some of them involve, like the case we're involved with, the anti-giving ordinance or anti-feeding ordinance, as you like to see. I'm working on you with that. And also there's some freedom of speech issues. And also there was an interesting one, and that is the rape kit lawsuit, which is an interesting one against the city, where the city did not process the rape kits for many years, and several serial rapists were able to go free and to rape again because they just failed to do the rape kits.
How many rape kits are still untested from 2010? Have we finally cleared the backlog?
Well, they cleared most of the backlog, but recently I have seen an uptick. There was a report not too long ago that they've gotten back into the hundreds of untested rape kits again. So what we need to do is stay upon them. And it would be nice to have a court order that ordered them to do it. But the judge dismissed our case. However, it is on appeal to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals.
Why did the judge dismiss that case?
Well, things like governmental immunity. You and I both know that the government has immunities that private businesses don't. They're not liable for mere negligence. They have to do things almost in a purposeful manner.
And even if they do things in an intentional manner, you can't sue them for civil torts. You can't sue them for battery. So if they intentionally, let's just say the police decide that they just want to beat you up,
Yeah,
just because they feel like it, you cannot sue the city for it. You could sue the police officer for assault and battery, but you can't sue the city for it.
Well, you can sue for it. You just may not be able to recover. Remember, you can sue the Pope for bastardom, but it doesn't mean you're going to recover.
That's right. So if you guys wonder why I jump up and down and cry that tort reform is just a bad thing, because it really is. Because you have the fact that government can do these things to you and have no recourse. It's all about being responsible for your actions. And I don't see how the city is being responsible for its actions whenever it just refuses to test these rape kits. All these bad things happen.
Yeah, I mean, when you have the rape kits, I mean, you have twofold. You have a rape victim who doesn't have any certainty of whether or not that the accuser is still on the loose or they're in jail.
That's right.
And for the accused, if they're innocent, you're being held most likely without bond, because we have a bond issue in Harris County until this is cleared up, until the rape kit comes back. So you have an injustice being done continuously until these kits are tested.
That is correct. And that went on for quite some time. And there was at least three known serial rapists who were allowed to proliferate, who, if they merely would have tested an earlier rape kit, they would have not raped more people in the future, because they had that person's DNA in the CODIS system, as it's called. So they merely had to test it, check the CODIS, and it would have matched, and they could have caught the individual much earlier than at all possible.
That's insane. That is, oh, wow. So what you're telling me is that people would not have been victimized had the city just done its job?
Yes, that is correct. Serial rapists were allowed to proliferate because of this.
Oh, boy.
Now, does this fall, because this is a question we get a lot, and I think we've kind of kicked it around before when this whole central crime lab was being thought of, does this fall on the county or does it fall on the city?
Well, this is the city, because the city was actually doing the testing. This is the Houston Police Department, not the county. So even today, it's the city who basically controls the new crime lab. And they're the ones who have to, there is some sort of independence. However, the city basically still runs it and can control it.
I'm just so shocked that the city had an opportunity where someone, couldn't be, they could have avoided someone being raped, and they didn't take that opportunity. They decided, we don't care. It's too expensive.
And that's going back, that's not just with Mayor Turner's issue, that's going back to Anise Parker's issue as well.
Very much Anise Parker, which was one of the worst mayors in the city of Houston. And I'm not saying Sylvester Turner is not a horrible mayor. People might have different opinions, but oh my goodness, that's just so ludicrous.
Elections matter, Eric. Elections matter.
So what other cases? Because you do such fascinating work, Randall. What other cases you got?
Yeah, I got a ton of cases. Not too long ago, I settled an interesting case where a Texas City police officer was caught on video stealing money off a dying man who had a heart attack on the side of the road, and we settled that case.
No,
that's
you mean police officers actually do those types of things?
This was a Texas City police officer. That's correct. And
the officers we entrust with our lives on a daily basis.
Those very same ones, Chris.
No, I don't believe it, Randall. I don't
believe
it.
It was a dead man. They just took the dead man's wallet.
He was either dead or dying. He had the money in his front wallet and in his front pocket. It was actually Christmas money, because it was a week before Christmas 2 years ago, and he likes to buy. He had carried cash with him, and he had gotten the cash to buy Christmas presents.
So what was it? Was like $5,000-6,000?
Yeah, it was about $3,000 or so.
$3,000.
Yeah, he was buying Christmas presents with it. And
did he have a family?
Yes, he did. He had a family, and he had just left his son, who was a lawyer in Texas City, and his wife at the son's office, and he was traveling from Texas City back to his home in Galveston when he had an episode on the side of the road, and unfortunately, eventually passed away.
Oh, that's sad. That's sad. You got any?
So you recovered from that, though, right? I mean, you recovered it for the family.
Yes, we recovered some funds, but nothing could ever take away the reward.
Absolutely not.
But once again, it is hard to sue the city on those. But at least we got the officer. He was fired. But here's something extremely coincidental. His grandfather, 50 years prior, had gotten fired from the Texas City Police Department for stealing radios from Radio Shack for Christmas presents.
So it was a habitual and a hereditary trait.
Apparently, it was crazy.
Wow.
It was so coincidental. I had to put it in the lawsuit, but I think the judge thought it was not relevant.
But it is relevant, because you always look to your parents as influential on your future and your propensity to commit certain acts and behaviors. I'm just saying, if we're going to trial, I'd have been there with you, Randy.
Yeah.
I just find it just so offensive that an officer would do that. I'm still in shock about the rape kits, to tell you the truth. That just blows my mind.
Well, I mean, the city of Houston, the things they do shouldn't shock you.
No,
I mean, they try to eliminate Tent City, and they said that we don't want any more homeless people in the downtown. We want them to go right outside the little area and make sure they're infiltrating other communities and neighborhoods. And then they said, well, you can't, feed the homeless because you don't want them around. But what we want you to do is actually give us more money through taxes to put up homeless centers. It's a revolving door of this nonsense.
That's the only. And then they take some poor girl's food that she tries to give the homeless and clothing on Christmas Eve. She thinks that it's going to be what this girl thinks is that maybe she's going to help people on Christmas Eve because she feels guilty, feels bad.
And see, here's the thing. This is what I don't understand. Randall, you're admittedly a liberal, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And why doesn't the Harris County Republican leadership harness these issues and market those as to why we need to be a superior party on morals and values and community wholesomeness when running campaigns? It just doesn't make sense, because there's a lot of liberal people who would be offended that the city of Houston actually does these types of actions. Would you not agree?
Yeah, that is correct. Most of them would be highly incensed. And by the way, I was listening to the radio shows I was coming here, and Chris mentioned something about hate, and you were right on the money. Is that you can't be a party of just what you're against. You got to be a party of what you're for.
And I agree with you on that. And the Republican Party, what I believe, it stands for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It stands for no. It stands for breaking stuff. It stands for refusing to do so. And then whenever we see just such big losses, we see all the young people be Democrats because the Democrats have a positive message and we have no message.
And that's, no message, chasing people out of the party. If you disagree with one thing of the platform, which is way too long as it is, you have a lot of people like, well, you don't need to be in this party. The GOP stands for get out of my party now. This is ridiculous. You can't have that type of mindset and still hope to be a relevant faction in politics going forward past 2020 and beyond.
So what do you think about the wave that happened in Harris County, that it's turned blue? Randall?
Well, I'm mostly an independent voter. I vote usually on the issues as much as I can. Of course, in Harris County, there's so many, there's over 90 candidates, so it's really hard to do that. But for my set of issues on the whole, I was in favor of it, but it was very interesting. I don't know what to take away from the election for the Republican Party. I would not know.
Well, I think there was in one aspect there is some good from it, because there was some really, really bad judges that were there, and just some judges that I practiced law in front of, and I can remember them taking this one girl's kid just because they didn't like her. And this is her, she was the aunt. The mother was in jail, and she was doing everything she could to take care of her. We got a judgment.
Phillips.
We got a judgment for her having custody in Bonnie Helms' court, which we ended up getting Bonnie Helms gone. And Judge John Smoody was there now in this place, and he's leaving. But Judge Smoody is nothing but a class act, great guy. But what happened is that case ended up transferring. They at the last minute, the county attorney intervened into it after there's a judgment, filed a motion for new trial, and I objected to it, and they granted the motion for new trial, even though there's no reason for them to grant it. Then they transferred it to juvenile court.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we were in juvenile court, it didn't matter what we said. We didn't matter anything. To be fair, we could have just sat down. There's no point in saying anything. There's no point in wasting our breath. They took that girl's kid away, and besides that, costing a lot of money for the county.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Yeah,
and you were there, Chris.
Yeah.
You've seen that.
I did.
You've seen it firsthand.
And you made a good point. You said, you're kind of glad this happened because it forces a party to rethink how they operate. I said this back in 2006, and I said, could we not all agree that the Republican Party has gone bankrupt? And people took so much offense to that. They're like, oh, how can you say? Well, bankruptcy is not always bad, because in order for you to be successful in the future, you have to restructure and rebrand and come back even stronger. And I think now we're at that point where when I called it and said we're bankrupt, we really are now, and we have to refocus and reorganize to be a relevant party.
Randall, how do people contact you?
You can contact me by calling 713-SUE-COPS.
Number 713-SUE-COPS. This is the premier attorney in Houston, known
for civil rights.
Second to none. And I sue the city a lot.
And if you need another attorney who likes to sue insurance companies, make sure you contact Eric B. Dick. Oh, this is Chris Carmona.
Eric Dick.
And we are out.
Next week, guys. Thank y'all so much. This is Randall. He's the guru, the absolute guru.
Yeah, only a 45-minute show today.
Of suing the city.
Again, they have another, I think, U of H game or UT game. But next week.
Bye, guys. I'll be down in a second, okay? Okay, so we're live on Facebook. I'll be back in a minute or two. Should be live on Twitter. I'm gonna run down and get the guests. So we're live on Twitter? We are. We're live on everything. Okay. I'll be back, folks. This. Most important thing here. Okay, sorry guys. Okay, got the guests. Wendy, she's a gold medalist. Philip should be here in a little bit. Philip Bryant. Just getting started. Oh. Okay, let's try it. So yeah. Hold on. Okay. Okay. So Philip. Okay. Phone. Time. Oh, guys, you gotta check this stuff out. Where's it going? Okay. Itchy beard. Oh. Hey guys, we're just setting up. It's gonna be a little bit. I got some real wild stuff. Talk to you guys a bit about Sylvia Garcia. The news isn't talking about this very much.
My final thought is that this situation between me and this situation between me and Sylvia Garcia, this was not an isolated incident like the Brett Kavanaugh, Christine Blasey Ford situation. Mine was in the workplace and outside the workplace. She just continued, any little opportunity she had, and this was a pattern of events. It was a series of events, and they're all documented. And again, my grievance is still open.
Wild. I gotta grab the other guest. I'll be right back, folks.
Hey, Phil, you here? Okay. Grab a seat right there, Wendy. I'm gonna go grab Phil. I'll be right back.
Okay, right here.
We're live on right there's there is social media going on. It's all
Okay. Hi. How you doing? Wendy.
Philip,
Nice to meet you.
Taking over Eric's spot.
Okay.
This is the Philip Paul Bryant show now. Hey. What's up, Chris, brother? Jim? Yeah.
So do you know what we're doing?
I don't
Because
know.
I don't.
Yeah, I think we're talking about your book, right?
Nope, it's diving. Springboard and platform diving.
Gotcha. Is that what your book is about?
It's not. I don't have a book.
Okay.
It's I coach
Gotcha.
at Texas A&M University.
Cool.
And I coach a junior team 18 and under, and then I help with the college teams.
I'm just keeping your seat warm. Cool. Tell everybody hi.
It's on Twitch and Twitter and Periscope and every social media little thing you could think of. We're live there. Oh, even Tony Busby joined us, who announced he's running for mayor.
Is that the next mayor?
It very potentially is the next mayor. That's a good stuff to talk about. I actually am a big fan of Busby. Big fan of Busby. He's got the right personality to do
You
it.
think you can give me an invitation to the Christmas party this year?
Oh man, have you heard anything about Busby's Christmas parties?
No.
He had Snoop
Certainly.
Dogg. He
Oh,
had
no
Snoop
way.
Dogg at his. He had Snoop,
Oh my
he had
gosh.
Snoop Dogg at his.
Fantastic. Oh, he's great.
Wild. Oh man.
Is he coming back?
No, it's not this time. No Snoop Dogg this time. But it was a really good Christmas party. Really good Christmas party. Oh man, I'm glad I joined in. We can talk about that. It's a good thing to talk about. Okay. I got all the breakdown of the city of the from the voting. I do have the breakdown. Got that a little bit. I got this video about Sylvia Garcia's, the woman that says Sylvia Garcia sexually molested her. Very fascinating. Have you seen this, Philip?
My final thought is that this situation between me and Sylvia Garcia, this was not an isolated incident like the Brett Kavanaugh, Christine Blasey Ford situation. Mine was in the workplace and outside the workplace.
She
just continued.
She's saying Sylvia Garcia sexually assaulted her.
And this was a pattern of events. It was a series of events, and they're all documented. And again, my grievance is still open, and Sylvia Garcia still has not responded to sexual harassment. The sexual harassment that I wrote back on July 29th, September 30th, whenever the grievances were filed, of 96.
So the thing is with these allegations, they're pretty wild.
Okay. So
we'll go more into it on the show. They're very wild. It's saying that that basically what Sylvia Garcia did is while she was a municipal judge, she had a clerk. That woman there was working for her. This is like 30 years ago, and she went in and was asking her, "You want to see the rash of my leg?" The woman's like, "No, I don't really want to see the rash of your leg. I'm okay. I'm okay. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. Appreciate it. Yeah, I understand.
Thanks for no thanks.
Yeah, thanks, but no thanks. But then, lo and behold, she proceeds to take off her pants. And, that's crazy, and nothing's happened about it. And that woman's just really upset. She's made complaints. She did. That's right.
Democratic system, man.
Second opinion. So how's your bookstore going, Philip?
It's going okay, man. It's going okay. You know, cheap book, lots of variety. So Saturday we put a big book speaker out and start playing music and stuff like that. Attract additional people. Got little signs we put out. Headphones.
There's also a headphone volume. Yeah, I think it's going to be headphone volumes here. Whenever you take it out, be sure to grab this part right here.
Okay.
I've lost about a dozen.
I know.
It's okay. It's okay. And we got our lovely engineer, our producer, Shannon. She's in another room. She'll be kind of telling us what to do as we start going live in about 6 minutes.
What's your full name? Your full name?
Wendy LaRue, LEREW. It's Team A&M Diving.
That's it. Yeah, it comes up diving, and another one comes up Olympics.
Okay.
You're in the Olympics?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
a couple of times, yeah. Back in the 80s.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome. I really do appreciate you joining us, Wendy.
Oh no, this is a great opportunity. I'd love to talk about my program a little bit. I'm trying to build it. I think I've been doing it for a while, but we have a little gap as far as how many kids. I've had a couple of kids in Olympic trials last year. Excuse me.
Mr. Jay LaRue, that your husband?
Yes, yeah. He's the head Texas A&M coach.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, he was a two-time Olympic coach.
And the Texans are actually, they're doing something. We might go somewhere. Huh?
Yeah, at Texas A&M, you mean?
Oh, well.
Yeah, he's A&M.
Oh, he's A&M?
Yeah, diving coach as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, not football. I coach the football. No, just kidding. I got y'all confused.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, so we coach. I coach for the U.S. national team as well, junior national team, and he was like a two-time coach, and he wasn't my coach, but so I was been running a program there for about 8 years at Texas A&M, and it's 18 members, so junior kids. We call that junior diving, and they're the ones that are getting ready for the Olympic trials and getting ready for college scholarships, that sort of thing.
So kind of how we do this is there's going to be 4 segments. The first segment, I'm going to kind of talk a little bit and bring Philip in, and we might bring you in we're going to go over different topics of like general stuff that goes on. About the third segment is going to be when we're going to focus on you and all the stuff that you've done, and then we're going to kind of tie it in with the last segment, kind of tie in what you've done, kind of summarize what all we've done, what all we talked about.
Super.
Just kind of we'll start.
I'll just keep my mouth shut.
No.
Spoken to.
Yeah. That's you can feel free to chime in. Just don't talk. We try not to talk over each other. Try to be very respective, and try not to be too angry. We'll have our own mind. This stuff with politics lately, it's just so much bad energy.
Yeah,
you have your own opinions. I respect anyone's opinion.
That stuff's going on. I mean, I think he's, not politically correct or anything like that. He's not. He's a wild one. Trump is, but he's certainly moving and shaking things.
I voted for Trump. He did not, but that's okay.
Yeah, I did, and
that's okay. I have daughters. I can understand.
He says some silly things, and he's not very articulate for someone who's a president. But he's getting it done. So I think that's
he tries.
Matters most.
Some people think he doesn't try.
He's quite brilliant. I mean, he's a brilliant businessman. Let's face it.
I think he's an excellent marketer. I think.
Relative.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, he got something like $3 billion of free media whenever he first ran for president. That in alone, he already won. It didn't matter whether he became president or not. Yeah. It's like someone gives you $3 billion free.
He and all his friends, he's got his own.
No. About 2 minutes? I got about 3 minutes. Okay. Yeah, I can hear you, Shane. Okay. Cool. Thank you, Shane. We're about to go. Another minute or so.
Okay.
Okay. Doing the Topo Chico. Okay. Okay, we're all going nice and strong.
Reports of U.S. and is down on the North. It's going to talk about the U.S. Olympics. That's pretty cool. We got our Olympic champion here.
Yeah, Wendy.
We're on the Olympic show. This is King PRC 948, 950. I think this is up to 740. 740, 950.
We're about to start, folks. Get ready. This is going to be a wild one. We got a lot of juicy stuff to talk about. We really do. Oh man, yikes! It's going to be a fiery hour, folks. So get ready. They're about to start. Just in a minute or so. I appreciate your comments. Oh yeah, we do have calls. Uh-oh. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. We're back. We're back again. Back again, folks. I'm being a little too loud. Producer Shan's getting mad at me. I've already got in trouble. Just got here, folks.
Back for more.
Back for more. Philip Paul Bryant is riding shotgun with me, and our special guest, we have an Olympic champion, Wendy, was it LeBron? LaRue. I'm horrible.
LeBron. Come on, this isn't the Lakers.
I know.
Cleveland or Miami. I can keep going, right?
Well, the Rockets have been doing so bad. Didn't they finally win one?
Yeah.
Finally won one. Oh my goodness, they've been doing so bad. Okay.
I think they're trying to convince Milwaukee that we deserve a new player. Who's that other player they're trying to get?
I haven't been paying attention to that. I've been crying when I'm sitting in the seats watching them play. That's what I've been doing, is crying whenever I see when Harden was out 2 games and CP3 was out 2 games. The only game we won before last night was with the Lakers, when it was just a downright brawl. It looked more like it was hockey than it was the Rockets and basketball. But okay, so let's go into it. Hurricane Michael caused $2 billion of damage. That's what the reports are saying from
Wow.
So it's going to take a while for people in Florida to really recover from that. And when dealing with insurance companies, it's often difficult, and I'm sure a lot of them are finding out. We had in Houston a storm during Halloween, but it wasn't anywhere near as bad as the poor people in Florida and with Michael. But I'm sure a lot of people in
we're getting a lot of pockets of flooding too. I know some people there in the Astrodome that kind of got stuck, and people, I don't know. Every time it floods, people still try to drive through the water. I don't know why. It's like
Halloween was pretty active in my neighborhood, though, I have to say.
Right.
The kids got out there in the rain and the tornadoes.
The kids don't care anything about any rain. They're not gonna let that stop them.
But it seems, though, every time that there's a holiday in Houston, we get a flood. Like we had the Tax Day
flood,
Memorial Day flood.
16, yeah.
I mean, we've been flooded for for the last 5 years. Every year we get a flood, with the pinnacle being Hurricane Harvey.
Yes.
So my question is, we got Tony Busby, who's a multi-millionaire attorney that has some of the best Christmas parties out there, folks. I'm just telling you, the best Christmas parties that ever were.
Let's see if I get on the list this year, man. That'd be. I can't really vouch for the Christmas parties, man. I seen it on your social media. I saw you go live at the Snoop Dogg concert, but unless I'm gonna personally get an invitation, man, I don't know.
Yes.
I feel like the party isn't cool unless Philip Paul Bryant is there. Like that's just my perspective. Maybe I'm being biased.
Me too, actually.
But back in high school, the party wasn't cool unless the coolest people in the school showed up, man.
And he's wrong for not inviting Philip. But my question is, I went on a tangent about his Christmas parties. They really are all that in a bag of chips. But he decided he's going to run for mayor. He decided, and he called it way, way early. Like, you don't even have the current elections happen yet.
Yeah.
Is this just some rich guy being crazy? Is this like a serious campaign? What do you think, Philip?
It seemed pretty sincere. I watched the Isaiah Factor. I watched the Isaiah Factor interview, and Isaiah asked him the exact same question. Are you serious about this? And his response seemed pretty sincere. I mean, the rest of the interview was pretty casual, pretty funny, pretty jokingly. But when they specifically asked him, was he going to actually run for mayor? Should people take him serious? I heard a change of tune in his response. So that tells me the guy's giving some pretty serious thought.
Is he? an improvement from Turner, or is he good, bad, ugly? What do we think?
Well, from the perspective of just analyzing him, you're able to kind of get a track record based on Turner. You know, he's had 4 years as mayor, or 3 years as mayor as of now, 26 years as a state representative. So we can actually give him a proper report card. Whether you give him a A or a D or F, you have the ability to do that based on the actual track record. So with Busby, Tony Busby, you don't necessarily have that track record. It's just kind of based on what his view is, what his vision is for the city. And so it's almost an unfair comparison as far as giving them both a report card, because one is just based on ideas, and the other you can actually say, nah, you didn't deliver on this, you didn't fix the potholes, you didn't lower the taxes, got in a huge fight with the firefighters. I just had to throw that in there.
Well, we can go into the firefighters.
I had to throw that in there, right? But to answer your question, I don't necessarily. It's hard to say if it would be an improvement, because it's not necessarily a track record to run on. You know, running the business is different from running the municipal and the government entity.
Well, but he makes a pitch that, look, I don't need the job. I'm not going to take the money. I'm doing this to make Houston like the top of the city that it could be. I go to all these other places. They talk about how much they love London, how much they love New York, but they don't say such fondness with Houston. And I've had enough. I'm going to change that. That's kind of that, and it's early, and you know maybe it's eccentric for him to say something like that. Who knows? But I mean, is there something to be said about that?
I don't know. I mean, if he's willing to give me the $235,000 a year, that he's apparently going to have some sort of voter lottery, I probably have a different perspective. I'd probably be a little bit more optimistic if I had a $235,000 in the bank account. But
Let's say.
Have you been okay? Have you been paying attention to this any, Wendy?
You know what? On the national level, I have.
Well, we'll get back to the national level. There's a whole lot of great stuff in store for you folks.
She's got to tell us how we can participate in the Olympics.
Oh, we're gonna get to Wendy. Trust me.
You know,
we'll be
I've been
back.
Working out, man. These muscles aren't just for show.
I know, Philip.
A little bit for show.
We'll be back, folks. We'll be back in
show.
a few. The gun show.
They should switch the name. I like that. The gun show. There, Dick.
That's funny. It is. They do play Big Gun. That was their choice. The Big Gun show with Eric Dick. Okay. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's like which way's
What's
the
up,
beach?
Ronald? Ronald, you still fixing messing up people's Apple computers?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I don't know about his response on the. I don't know about his response on the. What he's going to do with the $235,000 salary he wasn't going to take a salary.
That's kind of wild.
You say you're
a
going to
lottery.
to a charity.
He's going to have a lottery. Give it to some random person.
Right. Give it to the voters.
That's wild.
Have the lottery drawing. Everyone who voted for me gets to participate in the lottery drawing. Wait, is he still listening in over there? I don't want to mess up my chances to get to the Christmas party. That was pretty awesome, man. Coming there with my little Tupperware, man. Like,
it was really a good
take
Christmas
mine
party.
to go. I don't
really.
I'm a connoisseur of Christmas parties. It was by far the best one I've ever gone to.
Christmas party connoisseur.
Yeah.
That's
I was surprised.
I was
surprised.
Have really good Christmas parties.
Coupons do have
Get
excellent
there
Christmas
early because the food goes. But they have the free bar that's all night.
Oh, that's yeah. Oh, yeah. They have that. We're not going unless they have that.
You're right. It's not a party unless the booze is free.
Oh, they got it good.
You need something really to celebrate.
So you want to go into Prop P?
Firefighters?
Yeah, you want to go to Prop P?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
We can go to Prop P. I can go into the breakdown of what the local Republican Party says the votes are, and then we can kind of I got a couple other things to talk about.
We're going to talk about
What do you got?
Obama, man, coming back on tour, the Obama tour.
Dadgummit. Producer Shannon making me actually, I'm sitting here just playing around and she's making me go back to work.
Got to go back to work.
Got to go back to work. Dadgummit. Okay, folks, we're back. We were just talking about city politics. We're going to go back into that a little bit more. Philip was talking about the firefighters, and I'd love to talk about, my dad's a retired firefighter, so I'm just exceptionally biased on Proposition B. But let's talk about Proposition B. Philip, what do you think?
I'm really concerned, and I try my best. I honestly do try my best not to say anything negative about our current mayor, because he has a hard job. He signed up for it, but he does still have a hard job balancing the city and local issues. But when you pin in the firefighters against the police department, that just seems, you can't do that. You can't have people battling whether or not who's more important, who does a harder job, police or firefighters. Should they make the same amount of money? Is Houston firefighters paid lower proportionally than other counties around the state? I mean, this is crazy. Who wants to argue or who wants to vote against firefighters? I think come Tuesday, 7 o'clock, when those early vote numbers hit, by the end of the night, I think the city's going to have a serious problem when the citizens who are most likely going to stand up with the firefighters. I mean, those guys.
I don't see how you can't stand up with the firefighters. So
those guys running to burning buildings and save babies and your family
They're just
members.
Everywhere. They're fearless.
I mean, you lose a cat in the tree. I mean, they're showing up.
Yeah.
what I say is, if I'm
they're not checking you out for ID. They're not asking if you got warrants. They just come to help. Other than right. If you want to compare them to police officers, I mean, this is crazy conversation to even have to have. I think the city's going to have to figure out a way to get the firefighters a raise.
So it's a heads. Mayor Turner loses. Tails, he loses.
Well, technically, it gives him an excuse to start laying off city employees and start cutting services.
But
so
if he does that, is he going to suffer?
He's going to have to do it anyway. So the firefighters lose this battle, and they lose the proposition, and he doesn't have to give the firefighters a raise, and he still has to cut city services. It's going to look bad. So in my opinion, it gives him an excuse to cut city services, which the city has to do.
But if he does that, doesn't he suffer the potential repercussions that Anise Parker did, where when she started laying people off, she avoided a runoff from 2 unknown people by 800 votes.
Well, you were one of those.
I was not one of the unknown people at that time. That was
I know you're talking about.
Fernando Herrera and Jack O'Connor. Both of them ran.
Still 2 unknown people.
They spent a total of maybe 80,000 total.
I got you.
Maybe 40,000 each, and they came striking distance.
Right.
From
she won like 53% versus.
No, she won 50.01.
Okay.
001. She won by 800 votes. She avoided a runoff against people that had no funding because she became so horribly unpopular for a number of things. One of them included laying people off. So if he does lay people off, does he get around the area that he's vulnerable during this election cycle?
Yeah, I mean, people, city services start to fluctuate, or people don't, not pick up the trash on time, or city potholes aren't getting fixed as quickly as possible. You're going to suffer that either way it goes. But I tell you, come February, March of next year, some city parks and libraries are going to start closing. I mean, it's inevitable.
Okay, and that's sad. That's sad that the city can't allocate its resources responsibly and do the things it necessarily needs to do. Instead of, every time I've ran for city office, I talked about how you got to do the basic things, do a good job at it before you start doing the ancillary things. you know, expensive art, those type of things.
Maybe you should run next year, Mr. Eric.
I don't
Can we
know.
talk about
There
that?
you
Are
go.
we allowed to talk about that?
No, we aren't going to
I'm
talk
looking
about
at the
that.
producers.
No, I already got enough. I got it. No. But what we can talk about is so early voting's done. We've got you know, all the ballot by mail, all the early voting's done, and I've got kind of a breakdown of the numbers if people want some, you know, some intel.
This is an exclusive. This is an Eric Dick exclusive. We got like a theme music right there. Like when you say something like that.
Well, it is exclusive. This isn't exclusive. Okay, so a total of 852,000 200 or 106 people voted. Of that, what about 36.5% had some type of Republican history. 30% had no history at all, and then 33.18, about 33% had Democrat history. So, I mean, there's one.
Yes, that seems scary.
Well, but let's run with this for a couple times. This is for a couple different things. One is this is the highest turnout we've ever had for a non-presidential year.
Is this, and this is countywide?
This is countywide. Nearly 1 million people voted. 852,000 people voted or early, ballot by mail or early voting. And of that, 37%, some type of Republican, 30% none, no history at all. New voters, you know.
See, that's the thing. I think all of the campaigning and locally and nationwide,
don't
it's
know
getting
if-
people going.
just don't know if Ted Cruz is out there registering people to vote, bringing out the vote. I think you got to give a lot of that credit to possibly Beto.
I do give it to Beto, and I've always said that I do not think Ted Cruz is going to win Harris County. I don't think he has the right personality to win Harris County.
But he lives in Harris County. That doesn't seem fair.
And
His neighbors doesn't like him.
I'm not commenting about that. What I am commenting about is whenever he ran last time, 6 years ago, he barely won Harris County from an unknown person. Beto is known and liked in certain pockets. And in full disclosure, I voted for Ted Cruz. You know, I'm a Ted Cruz supporter. But I'm saying that, you know, that Ted Cruz is going to have some serious problems in Harris County. And, you know, if I was like Sherry Dean, or if I was Roy Moore or David, you know, Farr, I'd be upset with Ted Cruz, because the whole reason Harris County's, you know, changing, the whole reason Beto ran is kind of the result of Ted Cruz's arrogance.
So, in your opinion, Republicans are in trouble in Harris County?
I think they are. I think they could be. I think, and some of that's sad because you have some really, really good Republicans.
Can we shout out some of those Republicans?
You can name names like Sherry Dean.
Sherry Dean, that's my people right there.
Sherry's a nice
Sherry
judge.
Dean,
She does the backpack to Fifth Ward every year.
her and Judge Moore and Judge John Schmoody, Alicia Franklin York,
The family law judges are really good in Harris
Charlie
County.
Prime.
How are
So-
their Christmas parties?
Not nearly as
That's what I
good as
wanna know.
They need to
Busby's.
get
No.
their Christmas party game up, man. Think about it. That's an excellent. That's why she's an Olympic champion right here.
Sense of humor, yeah.
Thinks outside of the box.
So just going on politics, we got a little bit more, and then we can start going into talking about our fantastic guest. Is Sylvia Garcia. There's more information about her potentially sexually assaulting this poor woman. We got a video that I was showing the people earlier on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Twitch and Periscope, and I was showing them this video.
You know, it doesn't seem as bad, and I'm going to get some backlash on this, but it just doesn't seem as bad when I guess the lady had a medical condition, and she just wanted a second opinion about it.
So backstory is Sylvia Garcia is a municipal judge, and one of the instances, the victim says it happened a lot of times. One of the instances is Sylvia saying she has a rash. She wants the victim to look at the rash in her leg, and the woman says, "No, I'm not a doctor. I'm okay. All this stuff." Sylvia continues to take down her pants, show her the rash, and just kind of rub on her.
You have to say allegedly. You're the attorney, Eric. You have to say allegedly.
They've also changed with the anti-SLAPP law, and there's not such a tort reform has made defamation almost impossible to sue under. So and she seems pretty sincere. So what she says, I guess it is allegedly. I guess not very allegedly, but
I wonder, was the rash allegedly? Was it an alleged rash as well as an alleged pants removal?
But my questions are
innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, I guess innocent until this woman seems like she really believes it. So, I mean, is it okay? Is it okay that there's no investigation, no nothing? This is someone
what
that's
women do though. They go together in the restroom. They take restroom breaks together. I thought that was a woman thing.
I don't know.
We're not
I
terribly
mean, I
shy.
wouldn't show any rashes to.
Well, strangers maybe not.
I mean, is it something common? I'm not a woman. I do have 2 daughters. I'm married to a woman. I have 2 sisters. But Wendy, is it something common that women do? I got a rash. You want to see it? No, I don't want to see it.
Well, if you're good friends and you're at a restaurant or something, and then you're off to the ladies' room together, that's sometimes, I guess, how it would go. But again, you'd have to be pretty good acquaintances, I would think.
Not in a business environment, like it's
No.
a judge too.
I
A
agree.
secretary. Hey, check out my rash. No, I'm
No,
cool.
not appropriate.
Maybe we should look at the bylaws of the company. Maybe that's a requirement that they give second opinions on rashes and strange.
Well, it's the city of Houston. It could be. It's the city of Houston.
Stranger things.
It is the city of Houston. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised at all. It's the city of Houston. Okay, so another thing that's going on is there's Erin Swanson. She's been running for a judge. She ousted an incumbent on the Republican side.
Oh my goodness!
A horrible, biased, corrupt judge, Teresa Chang, who was there maybe 10 years, and she's very experienced. She spent a large amount of money trying to fend off Erin Swanson, who did actually beat her in the primary. This is a gal. She's young. She's 32. She about 5 years of experience, just barely able to run. But there's still some resentment from the corrupt judge, and she's managed to prevent Swanson from getting some of the traditionally Republican endorsements. Now, I find what's interesting is, it's more the business community. Why did they refuse to endorse, Erin Swanson, who's young, who's 32, compared to some of the other people? And I'm wondering, is this sexism? Is this just straight up these business communities? And if she was a man, would they endorse her? Because they endorsed other people that were very young. Jay Carahan, his opponent, who won, they endorsed him, and he's a young guy. He's a great guy. I'm not dissing him.
Dan Simon.
So Dan Simon was endorsed by some of these organizations, but not Erin Swanson. So my question is, if Erin Swanson was a man, would these organizations endorse her? What do you think?
I think you have to say alleged corrupt judge.
Okay, alleged corrupt judge. Yeah, I'm gonna take your legal advice. I'm sorry, alleged corrupt judge. Yes.
That sounds better anyway too. He just gives a longer name, but I don't know. I definitely think that. So did those organizations do a no endorsement?
No, they endorsed a Democrat. And what's wild is Harris County Republican Party is touting these organizations, and they're saying these are good Republican organizations, which not really. They're endorsing Democrats. I don't see, and there's some serious problems with the local party.
Should we call some of these organizations out, or is that?
Oh, you can call them out all day long.
I mean, people have a right to know.
Sure, like Texans for Lawsuit Reform, but they're a big business corrupt organization. C Club,
that big group.
C Club. Texans for Lawsuit Reform bribes people all the time.
Oh,
well, they do.
Alleged bribe.
Alleged bribe. They give money and they ask. Okay, folks, we're gonna be back.
Take an alleged break.
Break. Shannon's gonna allegedly hit me, so we'll be back, folks. Okay, we'll go into you next.
Okay.
I just try to.
I hope I'm okay because I don't know that much about politics. I really don't like the national stuff, sort of. But anyway, I hope I'm not.
No, we're having a great time. We're just talking smack. That's all we're doing is talking smack, giving stuff people to talk about.
You guys are so knowledgeable.
You take take a shot at Texas philosophy reform every show, don't you?
Oh, well, I do. They take shots at me. It's only fair. They do take shots at me, so it's only fair. Only fair.
You can tell us about your, how you got into what made you guys start the organization?
Sure. Yeah, I've been sort of doing it all my life. I stayed in coaching. Yeah, glad to.
It's really awesome.
How people find out more information about it.
That would be great. It's super. Like I said, I've got a small group right now. I'd like to see it grow. It's a very small sport. It's not. You see it every 4 years at the Olympics, and
people don't understand is how much you work at doing that.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult. Conditioning, the fear factor.
Did you receive a medal or anything?
No, I did on the world level, world championships. The Olympics, actually, frankly, I choked.
No, that's happened.
Yeah, and it was my first one competing, and you're 21 years old, and I mean you've been diving a long time, but still you get a little deer in the headlights, and it's whoever either has the most experience or whoever just has a darn great day. You compete against those world people, that field, for at least 4 years on the international circuit. You tour Europe, world championships, Pan Am Games, things like that. And so you're with the same people. So you're used to competing against them. But then when you get to the Olympic level, again, the cameras, the crowds, everybody sort of it can get to you. So it's whoever's got the eye of the tiger, I guess, on that day.
Or luck, or how you feel, or
yeah. If you've got your
slept good.
I know.
All right, we're at the third segment, the final lap around for the Eric Dick Show. We've got a great guest, Wendy. She is just a great athlete. She is a world champion? You were in the Olympics.
Right. Yeah. World Championships, World Phoenix Cup, similar to the Olympic Games, but again, not the huge publicity that the Olympics get every 4 years.
So, Wendy, tell me about being in the Olympics, because that just seems just so wild.
It really is quite an experience. You stay in a village. You usually get there about 2 weeks before the actual games start. The opening ceremonies is just crazy. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it on TV these days, what the production that they go into, and all the athletes go in and we watch the whole thing, and the closing ceremonies as well. So it's very, you stay in a village with all the other athletes. The best thing about it is I think that you've got all of the sports there. Everybody is sort of at their peak condition and mentally, physically within their sport, and you've got that in common. No matter from where you come, no matter from what country you are, it's just peace and that beautiful thing in common, that you just sportsmanship and you just want to do the best you can, and you're rooting for other people too.
Really? So you guys aren't like making faces at each other
no.
and elbowing each other when you're not hoping the other person breaks an ankle on the way?
No, some of the girls do. The girls can be a little catty, The guys are cool.
Pulling Tanya Harding's.
Oh, yeah. The old whack in the knee.
Asking do you look at their rash?
Never done that and shan't. No.
So, you went to the Olympics, which is probably just an amazing experience. How long did it take you to train to get there to be?
I was quite lucky. I did gymnastics. People, wonder how you find out about a sport like diving and how would you start in that. And, gymnastics, cheerleading, dance, things that are sort of acrobatic. Anyway, I did gymnastics till I was 12. So when I came on into diving, I made the Olympic team when I was 14. So only 2 years of training in diving after all the experience in gymnastics, the changeover was quite simple for me, and I was very lucky. And made the team as a 14-year-old. Now, that was the year 1980. Boy, am I dating myself. Oof.
80s were good years.
Well, there you go. Thank you. But It was the year that Jimmy Carter boycotted the Olympics.
Oh.
So that was the year we didn't get to go.
Oh.
And that was all right, you know. And my sister and I made it together. She was 13. But
She was a
you know,
diver as well?
Yes, yeah. But we had another, 4-8 years left in us to make another team. It was very difficult for a lot of the people I know and the older ones that it was their one and only Olympics. That was their shot. They made the team and they didn't get to go. So that was sort of, political faux pas, if you ask me. It's supposed to be about the peace and the sportsmanship amongst all of the countries. And it was a bad call in my opinion, not because I'm an Olympian, but just I think in general, the whole auspice of the Olympic Games was sort of lost that year. Yeah.
So how many times have you gone to the Olympics?
Well, just once. I made 2 Olympic teams, but again, 1980 we didn't get to go. 84 was in LA, and I sort of choked at the trials.
Oh wow!
But and then made it in '88. Both
Do
my
you
sister and I.
Do you actually go to the Olympics these days, even though you're not participating?
No, it depends on where it is. No, I would like to eventually go as a coach. That's my my dream. I've been coaching for probably about 25 years now, and that's my sort of next goal is to have an Olympian myself that I work with.
So how hard is it to even qualify for the Olympics?
It's pretty thick and deep. Again, the experience that you need to have as far as keeping it together in competition. It's not a team sport. I mean, you have to perform in a team sport, and it's a different ball of wax. But you're on show. It's just you. It's silent, and it's all you. And you've got 8 tries or 10 tries with different dives that you've got to do, and very difficult ones. So again, as I mentioned, it's the eye of the tiger, and it's whoever comes out on top. But it does take an extensive amount of training. Diving is not a simple thing to do.
So you're training for this like every year for like so many years?
Oh yeah, like 6 to 8 hours a day. Most kids now are homeschooled. The ones that want to really do it and want to go all the way with it. You've got other countries like the Chinese, and they just train all day long. And then in order for Americans to compete against that, you've got to put the hours in as a kid. And that's what it takes. It's very competitive as far as skill and conditioning and that sort of thing goes.
So it's stuff you train for like 8, 4, so however many years before.
Oh yeah, at least 10 to 15 even.
Wow.
It's a big commitment. Yeah, it's not necessarily for everybody, but yeah.
So now you're kind of transitioning. You did that when you're younger. You're transitioning. Into what you're teaching, you're coaching for, diving coach. Is that what
Yes.
you're doing?
Yes, yep, springboard and platform diving, and I actually coach at Texas A&M University. So does my husband, actually. He's a 2-time Olympic coach, Jay LaRue, and I'm doing the 18 members. So what I'm doing is I'm sort of molding future champions. Some of those 18-year-olds can make the Olympic team now, and stranger things, it's happened. Usually the more, after college age, the 25-year-olds to 30 even can be a lot of people's peak physically and mentally. It takes a lot of experience to go in there and keep it together and score the points you need on those difficult dives to stay in the pack.
If people want to find out more about what you're doing, how do they reach you?
Well, it's actually WLEREW. That's my name, Wendy LaRue, at AOL.com.
Oh my goodness.
There we go, the age thing again.
Oh my goodness.
Does AOL still exist anymore?
It does. We were big during dial-up. I was really cool back in the day with the dial-up thing.
Wow.
So they email you, Wendy.
Yes, that's the best way, and or Facebook. I have just you sort of have to ask to be friends, which is fine. And again, it's Wendy LaRue Lerew. Yeah, and then
You have one of those dial-up phone things where you kind of.
yes, I do have a rotary
Wait
phone.
for it to roll back.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
But those are pretty rare. They're probably could be sold for a mint.
Yeah, antiques for sure. I don't know if you could
Get some of those
work.
in the bookstore.
You probably do have some of those at your bookstore. Phil. Don't you have any of those at your
I
bookstore?
don't have any of those.
Well, I can
Let me
rent
give
you one of
yeah, just
mine.
Wendy LaRue here. And, maybe get myself a Hotmail address as well.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Oh my goodness. Was that the second one after AOL?
Probably the SBC Global.
Oh yeah, that one.
So I'm just so amazed by the dedication you spent, like getting to the Olympics. I know you were in your early 20s whenever you went to the Olympics.
Yeah, about 21.
So you'd been training since you had to been training since you were like 15, 14,
Well, yeah,
13.
12 actually, and then but in gymnastics it was age 6 to age 12, 4 or 5 hours a day after school. It's you have to have sort of a bit of a screw loose to do this. It's really time consuming.
I wouldn't say screw loose. You just have dedication. It's just something you feel strongly about. There's I think it's good that people feel committed about something and work towards a goal. And it's clearly you might have wanted to get a gold medal with the Olympics, but unfortunately you weren't able. But at minimum you were able to make the Olympics, which is so much more than what many people can say that they've done in their life. So, and it's just so amazing that you actually got to have that experience,
Well, thank you, Eric. It was an experience. The whole ride, the great friends I've made, and in the coaching ranks, a lot of them have gone into coaching after their experience as divers, and we see each other on the world all the time. We see each other at the pool, coaching for different countries.
What's the deepest water you ever dived in?
Well, what you do is the tallest platform that we go off of and do multiple somersaults is 33 feet. So that's 3 stories. And you're required to have 17 feet of water to do that because you hit at 30 miles an hour. You hit the water head first. So you take a lot of impact in your upper body. That's probably why I can't turn my head anymore. Vertebrae are all fused together. But it's quite the experience, and the impacts up 10 meter are difficult. Now they have high diving, cliff diving now, which is 90 feet for the men.
Oh, that's wild.
And 60 feet for the women, and that's a big thing too. The Red Bull World Series Tour.
Have you done anything with the cliff diving?
Actually, I coach a very, very good girl. She actually holds the record. She's brand new. She went to Texas A&M University, and her name's Jessie McCauley, and she's on her way to compete in the World High Diving Championships actually next week.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, and she's good, and she holds the world record for the highest scoring dive, the most difficult dive for a woman, and the highest scoring one. She had straight 9s from the judges, and so proud to say that I've sort of broken in the high diving ranks, and hopefully that'll be in the Olympics someday soon.
How young do you go as far as coaching?
How young as a coach? Well, while you're a diver, a lot of times you start coaching.
How young will you go? 12-year-old, a 10-year-old?
Oh, excuse me. We start them at 6.
Wow.
And go to at least 18 to 25. Yep.
Well, that's great, Wendy. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back for the final segment. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's fascinating.
Hey, is it true what they say with the water? Like, it's almost like diving into concrete unless you do it right. That's real.
Yes, you hit at 30 miles an hour, and if you're not going straight in, you're going like that. You get impacted. You get smacked around. Like honestly, my back and neck hurt. Springboard divers do okay. They're 10 feet off the water. It's not that serious, but the higher the 3 stories up.
So you really doing this little arrow thing? You really breaking that water?
Yeah, you're doing like.
Hey guys, feel free to call in 713-212-5950. 713-212-5950. We're going to be taking calls.
And try to go in no scratch. And there's a fear factor involved. It's not for everybody to go up there. Yeah.
I wouldn't even go up to the 30 feet.
Oh yeah, you would need to stop by.
jump off with my eyes closed.
Yeah, and you don't know when you're going to hit the water. So it's like, what you do, you have to be a little bit. I mean, I don't mean look at schools to try to train to be an athlete, but diving is just sort of, you got to be a little eccentric, I think, to hurl your body off that height and pray for your land.
I gotta ask, how do you feel about Larry Nassar in the U.S. Olympics?
Oh, who?
Larry Nassar.
Why don't I know that?
He's like
That's
some type
silly.
of pervert.
Good heavens, no, I'm not aware of him. I'm scared.
Oh,
Are you serious?
He's just.
Oh,
that's one of the comments. It's just a comment. No, it's just a comment.
Oh,
it's a comment on the social media. Chris sometimes he's on the show too.
What was that? So he's being funny.
Yeah, he's just wondering.
Oh, Chris said that?
Yeah.
Tell him I said I can handle it. I'll be fine.
Yeah. All right. Yep. We're back. We're back for the final segment of the show. We had a great show, great guest. Philip, you got anything going on with your bookstore?
Oh yeah, actually, bookstore's doing really well. We've got some huge sales going on. So we just sell $2 kids books, $2 and under kids books. So we've got like 6,000 or 7,000 kids books that we just trying to almost give away. And then we got like nonfiction, fiction books, $4 and under. We got like almost 20,000 books that we're just doing for $20 and under, just to, it's not about necessarily trying to make a bunch of money. We're really just trying to get people back into reading, traditional reading, just grabbing a book. I know audiobooks are pretty popular. People like Kindle and stuff like that. But even having your kids watch you read and read them stories as well.
I agree. It's brain exercise, and it's such a shame that it seems to be that books are becoming a lost, and it's so fast how it's progressed to where there's only computers. Yeah.
But where's your store at, Phil?
We're at 3314 Lyons Avenue, so we're about a mile and a half on the outskirts of downtown or in the Picklewood area.
And this is just like a cool little place where,
hang out, got a couple couches in there. Hopefully you don't just read the book and then put it back and
they're too cheap, and you might as well just take it. $2 a book.
$2 a book for a kid's book, $4 for regular books.
Great for Christmas, goodness.
Right.
Yeah.
Huge, got a huge religious section in there. We've got some legal books in it.
I know. I'm just going to see me sneaking around. That's where I get my books at. Is Phil Paul Bookstore.
And they have the definition of allegedly.
Right.
I need to get flags.
Allegedly $2 kids books.
I need to allegedly get a Black's Law Dictionary. Philip's going to highlight allegedly real big for you. You want to say this? You don't want to say it? You say alleged.
Right. Yeah. Man, but what's more interesting is that you guys should make sure you guys are following Eric Dick on the Facebook. You'll see me on there. I'm all over his page. But make sure you follow Eric Dick on Facebook. But on my page yesterday, I don't know, Eric, if you checked it out or not, but I put 2 different Obama speeches on there. He was in Florida campaigning for Andrew Gillum, and then he was in what was the other state? Okay, Alabama?
I'm not sure. I watched the Florida one, though.
Yeah, so Eric, if you need me to, I can tag those to your page.
That's all right. That's all right.
Uh-oh, you're going to go at it.
Tag those to your page, man.
I'm cool. I appreciate it, but I'm cool. I'm good.
You may lose a couple of followers, but
and then maybe a couple brain cells, too.
Alleged brain cells.
So what do you think of the, if we're going to talk politics, since that seems like what you want to do, what do you think of the Beto versus Ted Cruz? Let's go on that.
Man, I like Ted Cruz. I met him several times. Beto seems to be pretty sincere. I actually had some serious concerns about the DWI and the fleeing the scene. Once I did get past that, just kind of was looking at the issues. Just as a conservative Democrat, I'm a registered Democrat, precinct chair. If the Democratic Harris County Democratic Party is listening, I did say that I'm a Democrat.
You also said you were watching Obama, so I think they got that figured out.
They call me in the meetings every so often when I endorse people like Sherry Dean and Roy Moore. They have a sit down with me at least once a year.
And yell at you. What are you doing?
Yeah, have to read the oath again. But,
allegedly.
The alleged oath. but the cool thing about someone like a Ted Cruz, you don't have to worry about restroom issues, LGBT stuff creeping up into to the schools and to the public life. And so that is one thing. That is one thing that you kind of do have some assurances about. Taxes. You got to pay taxes. They're going to build roads. They're going to have to fund the schools and stuff like that. So taxes isn't that big a deal. I'm a tax guy, so I know how to get around it if they try to tax me too much. But with Beto, even though he does have some good ideas, I do think teachers should be paid a fair amount. I think it's just what's more important to the individual voter. I think there's a lot of excitement out. Every year they say this is the most important election of your lifetime, and every year we go for it. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if the actual voters show up, not just in Harris County. Texas is a lot bigger than Harris County.
It is very large.
It's one of the biggest counties in the country, but it's still a lot more Texas. And so I'd be very interested to know or some of those increased voter trends, in some of those rural areas where, they don't necessarily have Facebook, they don't have, they're not on Instagram all day, it's a lot of rural area in Texas that Ted Cruz has a lot of support.
That's what you think that Ted Cruz would win. And I'm actually a Republican, elected trustee for Harris County Department of Education.
I'm going to take the fifth on what I am.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Even here.
But just my response only is that, I think Ted Cruz shouldn't lose, but if he does, then why did he lose would be the question. And my fear is just that he has not been as personable as he should have been. And I think another race to watch is Ken Paxton's race. That's another race where I don't know why.
Wait, so Ken Paxton isn't in jail?
He's not in jail. They're all alleged crimes that he allegedly committed. And they aren't like Tom DeLay crimes, and I know Tom's actually a really great guy. They aren't like the Tom DeLay crimes, which got dismissed, or the Rick Perry crimes that got dismissed.
Oh, I like Rick Perry, man.
I do like Rick Perry, too.
That's my guy right there.
Yeah, well, you better deny that because you're a Democrat precinct chair. That's not his guy. It's his alleged guy.
That's my alleged guy.
I like everybody.
But okay, so and you don't
FCC violations. That's what it was, right?
FCC.
FCC.
Yeah, FCC. It was him. So for Ken Paxton, it was he was getting commissions whenever he wasn't licensed, and that's a little bit different than the Rick Perry thing.
That's not that big a deal. It's not DWI.
But it's kind of worse.
Sort of a big deal.
No.
I don't know. But so is it? That race is one.
I thought it was some insider trader stuff that he was involved with.
It's that too.
Oh. Allegedly.
Allegedly, that too. Yeah. But it's about 3 counts. This case the case has been going on a long time, and I don't know, man. I think he's the most vulnerable out of them all. I really do, and maybe it's just me being an outsider looking in. But I think my fear is, and of course I didn't vote for George Bush either. I couldn't vote for George Bush. I can't.
All Bushes aren't bad.
How did you? I'm not. Did you allegedly support George Bush? You like allegedly?
No comment.
Oh, my family was bought in the Alamo. I can't support him. He wants to get rid of the Alamo. I wonder how can I tell my how can I go to Christmas with my family and say, oh yeah, I support George Bush. Well, aren't you a Darce?
Actually,
aren't you
Dick has an awesome Christmas party as well.
We want to be quiet. We want to be quiet about that. No.
man.
Shh. We don't have Christmas. We don't know what Christmas is.
And there's no allegedly Tony Busby party.
No.
That's pretty awesome.
Okay.
Got Tim on the grill.
Yeah, Tim does a good job.
Him down at Phil Paul's Barbecue.
What's going on with your barbecue restaurant?
And we're opening up on the 16th of this month. So November 16th. We're going to come talk about it. Maybe even get a couple of sponsorship plugs in between some of those big commercials.
Eric, that's Eric, dude. Okay.
Can't you say your name by itself? I got you.
Okay, I'm trying to keep a straight face here, folks. Trying to keep a straight face. Okay. So a couple other things I had kind of here to talk about. Texas windstorm. I'm a homeowners insurance attorney. If people are having problems with their insurance involving property disputes, they're welcome to go to my website, www.dicklawfirm.com. You can add me on Twitter @DickLawFirm, Instagram @DickLawFirm, Facebook @EricBDick, or just any other social media. I'm on probably them all, and I do post these videos of us being here at AM 950 on all those social media. I'm just saying that as a little of background, people where they can connect with me. Just reminding people that I am a homeowners insurance attorney. If they're having problems with the storms from Halloween, feel free to call me. I do free consultations or represent people on contingency fee. But anyway, now that I got my shameless plug with me, so there were some problems with Texas windstorm. They requested a hike for liability limits, basically to increase their liability, and it was denied. And we're gonna have to talk about that next week, folks.
Can we talk about city elections next week as well?
Oh, we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff next week. If you guys want to get
alleged Bill King supporter,
allegedly. Okay, folks. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next week. I really appreciate it. Thank you, producer Shannon, as always, for doing a great job. Wendy, I really appreciate you being here, and Philip Albright. Shout out to Chris Carmona, who's having a great time, probably in China.
China.
You
gotta say like
China.
Donald Trump says it.
China. Thanks, folks. Next week. China. Okay. So we're gonna end. Thanks you guys for tuning in. See y'all next week. You have a great day. Hi everybody, about to start the radio show in a few minutes. On call in a little bit later. If you want to chat with me, just write some stuff.
I'm not shutting up. You'll be telling out at the end of the show, my boy, it's of course, it's dry, then I got to yell for the Longhorn game tonight. Oh my God.
Okay.
The less is more. The less I can talk to.
So whenever Chris gets here, he's going to text me.
So that's
I need you to run. We'll get him at the end of this first segment.
Okay.
I'm here for you.
He confirmed that he's going to be here?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm going to put as many links as I can on.
Is it for election right now?
He is.
I didn't see the extra comment that we had about him last week, did you? I didn't see the comment we had about him last week.
I had a good comment about him. He's a good guy.
Sometimes the value of the funds is about 25% to 40%.
Okay.
You want to sell that building? Do it now. I will have a link to the actual. I already put a link to that. Price. And then the new link, the dongle, the external adapter to plug your wired headphones in. You can buy that for $9. And then also the battery prices. I would recommend if you have older iPhone, when you think your battery's weakening, do it before January 1st. So you've got about 3 months or so, 3.5 months or so. Because Apple quietly, they didn't want to talk about this earlier this week, but they raised the iPhone replacement battery prices from $29 up to $49, up to $69 in some places. So go ahead, $800 with that. With that, I also want to point you to another one of my sub technology sites. It is called iHeartVehicles.com. And if you want the latest on some of the new vehicles, if you're looking for a new car, a new truck, I just updated some things. So I had the Toyota Highlander, really cool Lexus 500 LS 500H, cool $103,000 I was doing in a few weeks ago. This week I'm in a Fiat 500, the four-door Fiat type of thing, which is pretty sexy too. So I do cover the car industry, the tech industry, the bourbon industry, the travel industry, and of course, some of the high-tech industry too. With that, we're going to start the sign-off process. Shannon, thank you so much for keeping us on the air. Enjoy the rest of your day. Everybody out there, be safe. If you have questions, email at hightechdexon.com. You can find mine, Garfield. And you can get me every Saturday on air. And for some reason, we were bumped for radio for a football game, which we have to carry on air. You can go online. That's why you get the iHeartRadio app. And you can listen to me at your heart's content through the podcast. For all of us who have been part of the show, we do thank you for tuning in. My name is Garth. The show is officially over.
It's Saturday, September 15th. What's new today on the free iHeartRadio app? iHeartRadio! There's still time to join us VIP style at our iHeartRadio Music Festival in Vegas. Just listen to iHeartRadio Music Festival Radio in the app, and you're automatically entered. Plus, football's back. Check out our Jock Jams playlist to get all the stadium anthems with one tap. And don't forget, you've always got this station in your pocket, streaming 24/7 on iHeartRadio. iHeartRadio! All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free. For window replacement you can trust, visit GulfCoastWindows.com.
Wood Whisperer Video and find out who wins our brand new F-150 Super Coach Truck. Saturday, September 15th, 6 to 8 p.m. Only at Planet Ford on 59 and up.
KPRC in Houston.
An iHeartRadio station.
From the Gallery Furniture Made in America Studios. Welcome to KPRC 950.
I didn't push anything. I didn't do anything. I didn't touch anything. Okay, I don't know why. It's all quiet here. The engineer hadn't told me what's going on, but we should be starting soon. So our guest today is going to be Chris Daniel, and I have Philip Paul Bryant, who's also going to be here too. He's co-hosting with me. He's playing wingman, guys. Oh, hey. Hey, everybody. We're waiting on Chris Daniel. He's notoriously late, the district clerk. This is where he showed me it was. If I could see. Okay, we'll talk about Hurricane Florence for a while. You know, just general hurricane season, kind of the hurricanes that are going on. I'm going to talk about, you know, homeowners insurance to kind of tied with that, the type of policies you want insurance companies to avoid. Oh, talk about like Jerry Patterson opposing George P. Bush, Beto and Willie Nelson, and we're going to see what's going on with the district clerk in Harris County and talk about a number of other subjects. It's gone quiet. Interesting. Oh, wait, hold on. We can talk to her. Let me remember how to do this. Hold on. There's a way to talk to her through this.
I have you in queue right now,
Okay.
so I can hear you.
Okay, cool. No, everything okay?
Yes,
We just don't. We don't hear anything over here.
Because it is in automation right now, and then as soon as we hit that first spot block, that first 1 minute commercial segment, then you're gonna hear it.
Cool. Then I'm just gonna hang out and just do what you say to do. Right. Thank you. I was talking to the engineer guys. That's who I was talking to because it just got real quiet here. I was confused. I'm still learning this stuff.
And today we're going to be talking about hurricane preparedness. We're here at the Eric Dick Show. We're live in the studio here. It's going to be fun. Special guest Chris Daniels, Harris County clerk, district clerk. So we're going to be talking about some disaster stuff. Stay tuned. This is Eric Dick Show live. Okay. See you guys right there.
Yeah, man, it looks like Florence is just it's a major flood. Yeah. That's really done a lot of damage.
From the Corey Diamond Design Traffic Center. Inbound side of the Southwest Freeway around Westland. The backup stretching now from the West Park Tollway split. We also have heavy traffic on the West Sam moving northbound. That backup now stretching almost from Briar Forest, all due to the closure north of the Katy Freeway. I'm Stephen Foss in the 24-hour traffic center.
This report is brought to you by Gallery Furniture.
Mattress Mac Gallery Furniture saying you can't mark those big games on a frustrating backorder set. Go out there, other furniture stores, backorder set. Come to Gallery Furniture. Buy fabric or leather upholstered furniture by Solid Furniture made in America. Gallery Furniture delivers today.
This is Matt Thomas. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, you need professional help. Top Tax Defenders. If you receive a letter from the IRS, don't ignore it. If you're being audited, have years of unfiled tax returns, or worse yet, you are being issued a wage garnishment or bank levy, you need Top Tax Defenders. It's simply too risky to fight the IRS without the knowledge and experience of Top Tax Defenders and their attorneys and tax specialists. Call them now, 713-489-7792. That's 713-489-7792 or online, toptaxdefenders.com.
Opinions provided on the Eric Dick Show are for informational purposes only and not for the purpose of providing legal advice. You should contact your attorney to obtain advice with respect to any particular issue or problem. The opinions expressed on the Eric Dick Show are that of the hosts and guests and do not reflect the opinions of this station or iHeartMedia.
When you've got big problems, you need to have a big, you need Eric Dick, homeowner insurance lawyer and trustee for the Harris County Department of Education. This is the Eric Dick Show.
All right, folks, I'm back for more, back for a lot of exciting worlds of lawyerism, politics, insurance law, and just all around just whatever we feel like talking about, I
There you
guess. I have sitting with me today Philip Paul Bryant of Kojic Pack and many businesses.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
And we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Just jumping in, I'm a homeowners insurance attorney, obviously, elected to the Harris County Department of Education, which most people don't even know exists. It's really a fascinating organization, which we should talk about sometime. And so Hurricane Florence, that hit, and it hit big.
Yeah.
It looks like it was reduced from a Cat 5 with just crazy windstorms, maybe Cat 4 down to Cat 1. But the big thing there, so you got 100-mile-an-hour winds. You got this just gigantic, like flooding event where you had waves, 80-foot waves, just enormous waves kind of coming through.
I think they said nearly 10 trillion gallons of water is going to be coming in.
Yeah, just a crazy amount of water coming in. And so, we experienced a heavy flooding event here as well with Hurricane Harvey. But so what I'd like to kind of talk about a little bit is what people don't realize is there's different types of kind of insurance that kind of play here when you have a flood event like we did have with Harvey and also with Florence. Florence seems like it's going to be just, if it's possible, worse flooding event than we had here with Harvey. But it's clear that it's gonna be bad, and I'm sorry for everyone out there having to go through that. But so what we can kind of talk about a little bit is your basic different types of policies, where you have your homeowners insurance, your typical your windstorm, fire, theft, that type of insurance. That's where you see normally advertised with your State Farm, Farmers, AAA, what have you. Then you also have, NFIP, which is your National Flood Insurance Program. Now that's an interesting type of policy, and that is it's a government kind of funded, subsidized technically, which there gets all sorts of ethical and interesting questions on whether or not we should subsidize insurance. And there's a long history with NFIP. And in Texas and in other coastal regions, you have like some type of government funded or even government backed windstorm insurance, which we have Texas windstorm insurance. And there's some serious problems we've been having with Texas windstorm insurance since Hurricane Harvey. But looking at Florence, like it looks like it's going to be bad. I mean, Philip, did you see any of the articles or where how big this storm was? Because it was crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty scary. And obviously coming out of Harvey last year, so we're just I don't know if there's a such thing as hurricane PTSD, but just seeing water and seeing all this stuff again just kind of scares you, and it's also kind of since we did experience it here firsthand last year, it kind of makes us also want to kind of reach out, donate some stuff. A lot of us have extra clothes and shoes and toiletries, and so I from the people I've been speaking with, just want to know how they can be involved and what they can do to try to help the Carolinas.
That's right. So we got flooded really bad, and a person that really did a good job with the flooding in Harris County, we actually have here today, Chris Daniel, and he can tell us all about the flooding and just the craziness.
Harris County District Clerk.
That is Harris County District Clerk.
10 years, 100 years now, man. He's
about 7.5, 8 years. And Eric, it's a real pleasure as your Harris County District Clerk to be here today, especially on your new radio program.
Well, it's great for you to be here, and of all days, a day not far from whenever Harvey hit, and when we had this horrible tragedy in the Carolinas. And I want to thank you very much because you did such a good job dealing with all the flooding in Harris County. that I don't think anybody wanted, and no one wanted to deal with that job. And you did such a good job with that.
Well, I appreciate that. And there's a lot of backstory that never got told by the media, not because they weren't trying to cover it, but because there were so many heroes and unsung heroes of Harvey. To put it in context for the listeners, as a native Houstonian, I've been personally flooded twice in the city of Jersey Village in 1998 and again in Tropical Storm Allison in 2001. And during Harvey, my own mother lost everything in her home in Friendswood as 5 feet of water descended into her house. And it is an unfortunate experience of mine to have to deal with flooding in Houston, especially with the Memorial Day flood and the Tax Day flood, and how we practiced our disaster plans from both those floods and managed the courthouse and managed the dockets and managed canceling jury service and getting the word out to the public that, hey, do not drive into a high water, turn around, don't drown at the courthouse. And all that prepared us for Harvey so that when other agencies had not yet practiced their disaster plan, we were already set up days before with emergency computers and equipments and generators in the various places where we were supposed to be for emergency court.
Well, you guys still, sorry, Eric, but you guys still have a lot of house guests as a result of Hurricane Harvey. I know the criminal court judges and team is hanging out in your building. How does that feel, and what's the plan there?
It's a new normal, and we are all getting along now. There were some growing pains initially. I mean, let's be honest. We had one judge try to throw another judge in jail for not getting off the bench fast enough.
Wow.
And we had some other judges basically kick the DA's out of their suite area into the hallway. And then another judge come back and says, no, you can't be out in the hallway, both claiming fire code violations. But it is a new normal. We are now getting along fine. And unfortunately, it is predicted that not till the middle towards end of 2020 will we be back in that particular building. But when we do get back into that building fully, we're going to have a whole bunch of new elevators, a whole bunch of more elevators, more space in general because the sheriff is not really moving back into that building. And it's going to be a great facility going forward.
So just a couple things. One, I think would be important for the listeners is to explain what you actually, what the district clerk does, because I think a lot of people have no clue what Harris County District Clerk is.
The district clerk's office is a statutory office that was created in response to the growth needed in Texas. The basic founding fathers of Texas had your basic 6 or 7 offices: treasurer, sheriff, county clerk, county judge, et cetera, et cetera. But as time progressed, it was very clear you needed more courts. So they created state district courts, your old-fashioned circuit courts where folks would ride on horse and buggy from county to county. And then you had to have a clerk to keep those records. In all other states, the title would be clerk of the court. In Texas, it's the district clerk for the district judges.
Cool. And so your role, currently as a district clerk, what kind of do you do day to day?
Call me the traffic cop, if you will, of all filings going in and out of the courthouse. So when Mr. Dick yourself files something in our courthouse, you would either file that electronically, preferably, or by paper, and we would accept it and then hand it off to a randomly assigned judge for it to then proceed judicially. And then the judge would then assign electronically, hopefully, his order at the end of the case, and you would have an entire file that would normally be paper, by the way, now electronic for anybody to use, view, etc. And that not only saves taxpayer money long term, but it makes it faster and easier, better for justice to proceed. But I also handle, and a very unpopular duty, by the way, but a basic constitutional duty, your fundamental right to serve on jury duty here in Harris County.
Oh boy, I bet you're popular, everywhere you go.
Unpopular for somebody in Harris County at least once every 3 years. Now you'd be surprised how many people want to serve and want to be on a jury. And as time goes forward, we're going to continue to implement technology to make that faster, easier, and better as well. The other major function that we do, by the way, that most people don't realize is we do passports.
Well, that's excellent. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about a lot of great stuff with Chris Daniel. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is Eric Dick and Philip Paul Bryant's
Wingman.
He's wingman in it today. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm still in the triggers. She was trying to tell us I would.
Now, and then we can keep talking about the flood. Talk about how.
Yeah, we'll talk about the flood for a while. We got a bit of time. I wanted to kind of go into some other stuff. They want me to talk about Prop B, which I want to talk about Prop B anyway. And then we can talk about some political stuff too. Like I liked what was going on with Patterson and Bush. I think that's kind of interesting. At least deserves discussion. Sure. We'll just run into it. Go on. We got a good Facebook Live audience going.
The family members of veterans, supporters of veterans. I want to thank all you small businesses out
there. Oh man! So you made it.
Well, that 16 curve, once I got trapped, and doing that one accident, I was toast.
It's bad. It's worth it. With PTSD, have a place to go.
So they got you in. They just let you right in.
It's 877-717-PTSD. That's 877-717-7870.
You know,
877-717-PTSD. Veterans.
Oh, hey, Philip, are you going live as well? Cool.
We're all behind you. We're all here from you. There is an answer. Call Camp Hope. It's free to you. 877-717-PTSD.
This is your opponent,
and I think it's important that you know your rights.
Have they doing anything? Or they just
sat next to me today at the Delta Sigma Theta event.
You have the right to call me for free consultation.
It seemed pretty serious.
7 rights.
She didn't have any money, so she's relying on.
Don't let your homeowners insurance company take advantage of you.
Oh, you never know what's going on.
At 833-7 rights.
As your homeowner's insurance,
you never know what's going to happen. Hey guys, how are y'all doing? You never know what's going to happen. I think we can talk about that.
Well, occasionally I like to stop and just say thanks.
And you've done, to be fair,
for us.
Up and down, left
Our
and right.
friends at U.S. Coins have been sponsoring shows and sponsors.
I'm not saying you are, but what we can talk about is like the connection you've done, use social media, interact more with all the lawyers, use their information, the family,
U.S. Coins, coming in, you're bragging on the show, and we appreciate it. You're having a great experience. U.S. Coins, 510 outside the loop. 713-464-6860.
Yeah, we're piloting that right now with David Sparscore. You want me to talk about that? Yeah.
Tax defenders. If you receive a letter
e-resets and e-hearings.
If you're being audited, have years of unfiled tax returns, or worse yet, you're being issued a wage garnishment or bank levy using top tax defenders. It's simply too risky to fight the IRS without the knowledge and experience of top tax defenders and their attorneys and tax specialists. Call them now, 713-489-7792. That's 713-489-7792 or online, toptaxdefenders.com.
Try new endless pan pizzas at Seasons, available in both Meat Eater and Supreme. Now
are we allowed to talk about the Texas Lawyer Facebook page since that's not political?
That might be instead of purchase. She wants to come up here. She can. I don't care. I'll talk to Marilyn. What? They're looking at me. What are you guys trying to tell me?
Should we be talking right now?
No, I was just playing on the internet, talking to all my friends on Facebook. That's what I was doing. Anyway, so we're back. We're back with my radio show, and Philip Paul Bryant is helping me out today. He is just a fantastic go-getter, and our special guest today is the district clerk,
the one and only,
and Chris Daniel. What we're talking about is how Hurricane Harvey really devastated Houston. But what I'd like to talk about is some of the great things that Chris Daniel has done with the role as district clerk, made kind of the office more accessible to fellow lawyers. He's been, to be fair, he's been just a fantastic district clerk. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, he really has tried, and I can tell. But so tell me, Chris, about all the stuff you've done.
Sure. So electronic courts, for example, started as a pilot program in 2002 under Charles Backery with 2 basic courts, and was expanded under subsequent district clerks up to 8 courts with a few permissible courts. And under our administration, we went totally electronic in all civil courts. By the time the mandates came down for family courts to go electronic, we were already halfway there. And by 2015, all family courts were electronic. And with that, we had another mandate come down by the Texas Supreme Court that we need to have criminal courts electronic, with the exception of juvenile.
And that the criminal courts, that you're talking about criminal discovery, which is kind of you've just completely opened the door, which is kind of a good thing, I think. But so tell me about the criminal discovery.
Well, through our website, as you're tied to the case as an attorney, you can now get directly from the DA's office all their electronic discovery videos, DWI videos in particular, and the whole purpose is to make it faster, easier, better for the attorneys to represent their clients and seek justice.
Now, what's interesting, I kind of want to give a little backstory here, is so when I started practicing law about 10 years ago, I did a number of criminal cases. How you used to get your files, you'd have to, and usually the DA would freely give you their stuff, but sometimes they really didn't have to. And you could serve them discovery. So you couldn't just mail them that. You'd have to go to the court, you know, kind of file something at the courthouse. So you'd have to either wait for a hearing or actually drive down there, file this stuff. And it was really kind of a pain, you know, where to do any type of discovery. But that's gone now. So now attorneys, you know, doing criminal defense work in their comfort of their own home in their pajamas at, you know, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., whatever time, they can e-file their discovery to the, you know, the DA's office, and it's a complete different world. And we aren't, you know, we may have been. Are there other counties that do this?
No, in fact, Fort Worth and Dallas were trying to do something along these lines, and the best they could do was get the charging instruments online. Which is also part of our ongoing process, because not only did the Supreme Court mandate that something be filed electronically into the case, but we recognized that to be totally electronic, we had to have all facets of justice electronic. That includes e-warrants, e-subpoenas, e-citations, and so on and so on.
So I just want to kind of step back. You're saying no other county in Texas out of the 254 counties does electronic discovery for criminal cases?
Not that to my knowledge. Most counties are accepting electronic filings per se, and then going behind the filings back and printing it out on a printer and sticking it in the paper file, which defeats the whole purpose of electronic filing. The goal is to not only be faster, easier, better, and more indexed so that the attorneys can do a basic Google search on their own case and find rapidly what they need to represent their client, but to save taxpayer money.
And be environmentally friendly as well.
Well, that's a token benefit, because when you're saving trees, you're also not having to pay for all that toner and printers and paper and so on and so on, plus personnel.
Well, it just makes basic sense. Easier access to justice, costs people less money.
But it's also a safety issue. When we implemented e-subpoenas, that saved 32 positions for the sheriff's office to then put back into the courtroom as bailiffs that no longer had to process subpoenas, because it was a automated electronic process. And that came vital, especially after Harvey, where we were doubled up in the courthouse.
Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, you've really done a good job there. So how about like where you've tied in social media to the district clerk's office? Why don't you talk?
I have a love-hate relationship with social media. My first race was for the Board of Trustees for Lone Star College System, of which I won. And I beat the board chairman by using a little-known website called MySpace. And MySpace was revolutionary at that time. And now we're having Facebook and Twitter and so forth. And I have attorneys even contact me on LinkedIn and Nextdoor, the app. And what we do with all that is when they contact me, I personally respond. We get their email address, and we get them funneled to the right location to get their problem resolved. And the beauty of that is that, especially on the Texas Lawyer Forum on Facebook, the various groups and pages, they're able to not only get their question answered, but help other lawyers who might have a similar question get their question answered. It's not always the answer they want to hear. For example, there's a snafu going on right now with sensitive data documents, where the Texas Supreme Court has asininely created a category of sensitive data, where when you file something electronically, and I'm sorry to get technical, audience, but when you file something electronically and you market sensitive data to protect your client's best interest, well, guess what? We're not allowed to show that online at all. that became such a problem because if Eric files something, he knows he files something and I can't show it. How do we explain that? So we created an electronic index that at least showed that it had been filed, but you still had to download and view elsewhere. You couldn't view it online. And that has created a whole bunch of headaches for lawyers out there with this new restricted category. But again, that's just trying to solve the Supreme Court's problem for them.
Well, it sounds like you've done the best you can do. Yeah, so
he also implemented passports in his building because that wasn't done before under I think Jackson.
That wasn't done under any district clerk in Texas, except for in Harris County, except for the surrounding counties. And so we decided to take the bull by the horns and say, look, Stan's right here with his birth certificates. Why can't we just finish the gap and come up with a passport service? I'm sorry, the post office has set the bar so low that when we get these comment cards coming in about how wonderful we are, it's like, well, it's a no-brainer. We want to serve you, public. We want you to come in and have the best experience possible while you're already downtown for an unfortunate reason in court, or to get a birth certificate, a marriage license, a DBA for your new business, a liquor license for that kind of business, or you're serving jury duty. Come on down anyway and get your passport. Get a new passport, get it renewed. And oh, by the way, we go through Philadelphia instead of Baltimore, and therefore our passports are processed faster. And therefore it takes an average of about 14 business days instead of 4 to 6 weeks to get your passport back.
One other question. I know a lot of viewers are wanting to know, is there something that that can be done about those lines in the morning to get into the court? And I assume it's a lot of it is because of the criminal court being combined.
Correct. Now, once we're back in the jury assembly building, which unfortunately became an unnecessary 11-foot deep swimming pool during Harvey, once we're back in that building, a lot of those lines will go away automatically. And it has a beautiful remodel set, or it has its own kiosks and its own covered entryway. But Constable Precinct 1, Alan Rosen, actually handles the security that comes in and out of the courthouse. And he has been piloting programs to put people through the other courthouse security doors so that they're not having to necessarily bottleneck right there at the front door. But they could go to the juvenile building, or they can go to other buildings where there are metal detectors. We can't get rid of the metal detectors. We've got to keep our judges and our lawyers safe. We're dealing with a lot of hot topics at the courthouse, divorces, criminal cases, etc. And we need to keep everybody safe.
Feeding the homeless.
Feeding the homeless. But at the end of the day, thankfully, Constable Rosen is working hand in hand with our office to pilot these different ways to get people funneled into the courthouse through other buildings.
Sure. We're going to take a break.
That's that music.
Yeah, that's the music. They're giving me a hint. This is Eric Dick. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Chris Daniel and Philip Paul Bryant's right here with me. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Too fast? Too much? No, that's fine. Wasn't too technical, was it, Brian?
Yeah. Some people are you still talking about MySpace? You're talking about what dial-up internet back then?
Tom was a fan, man.
Yeah, you just told me to close your MySpace account, by the way.
Is it still up? I thought I deleted it. I thought I deleted it 10 years ago.
Oh man, I never had a MySpace. That was for musicians.
Back on Facebook Live.
I've been talking some.
Feeding Rocks. Can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding Rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign a petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding Rocks.
Oh, good people
At Lone Star Chevy,
watching.
save $15,000 for a new
What they want. I put the number. I put it on the Facebook. You guys want to call in? Call in. Let's go. Let's talk about maybe. Let's talk about politics a little bit.
This is Mario Lopez. So I'm planning to celebrate.
There's a lot of juicy stuff to talk about. A lot of juicy stuff to talk about.
Just say that I don't drink and drive. It's just not worth it. Because the DWI would cost you up to $17,000.
We had the Lincoln today in the Yes Spotters Parade.
You could also lose your license. So plan
We're talking about
for the Monopoly car that we use in all our parades.
Go to jail. So message from Textile.
And I had a parade today. I had a block walk kickoff, and I had this candidate forum. And now y'all
just hustling.
Grinding,
Hustling.
man.
This is grinding.
I've been hustling.
Been up till what, 7 in the morning, run around.
You talking local, state, or national politics?
I want to talk about Jerry Patterson, where he's a Republican and he endorsed George P. Bush's opponent. And the reason why and all that, I think that's kind of interesting. Is at least people were talking about that. I'd also like to talk about a lot of people are upset that Willie Nelson's playing for Beto. And just kind of, man, I think Cruz is going to win that. I'm voting for Cruz, but that's an interesting. I think there's something there, at least interesting.
Disclaimer: Geico cannot guarantee you will be as happy as a clam. Unquote. The Geico legal team cannot
I
accurately
think it was pretty neck and neck until the National Party starts.
They poured a lot of money into it because they got scared.
What's there to be happy about? A clam's all like, oh, I'm so happy I didn't get turned into New England clam chowder today.
What's that going to do? I don't know.
So fun to say. What were we talking
And also, we need to talk about Prompt B with the firefighters.
Yeah. I meant to go by there and get a couple of
It feels
signs.
sometimes like everything in life has gone against us. Take a break from anxiety. And
I'll
fear.
explain some of the city council issues with the Cenotaph in San Antonio
Right here.
and how they have already
9:50 a.m.
kind of boxed Bush in a little bit with regard to that.
Okay.
Now, I mean, he needs to take a leadership stand. Yeah, they already voted. Yeah, they've already.
I think they're hey guys, I'm back. Okay, so we got Chris Daniel here, we got Philip Paul Bryant, and let's talk about some politics. I know everybody loves talking about politics and maybe some gossip, and let's see where it goes.
Man, that's how you lose more friends.
Politics.
That's how you lose more friends.
Well, you know, I don't have many friends speaking.
Right.
When you don't have any, it's not hard to lose them. Okay, so what I found interesting is one of the person I think highly of is Bonnie Lugo was having a bit of a fit about how Jerry Patterson endorsed George P. Bush's opponent. And the whole kind of backstory, there's a lot of backstory with the Bushes and Trump and all that type of stuff. But I think really kind of the tie-in here and why a lot of people are just genuinely upset with the Bushes is George P. Bush's role with the Alamo and how a lot of people like my family were tied. We have relatives that fought in the Alamo. We have relatives basically in every Texas war. The first alcalde of Columbus is a relative. It's just like the history, at least in my family, and many other residents in Texas, they have such a deep Texas history. And they're just highly offended is in how he's trying to commercialize, in essence, the Alamo. Have you heard anything? What do you think about that, Chris?
You know, it is a time for leadership. And I think with the best of intentions, the current land commissioner's office delved into trying to expand, preserve, and protect the Alamo. And unfortunately, too many businessmen and too many consultants got involved, particularly those that were not from Texas. And we have a mess on our hands. And a lot of it is a technical issue that is more complicated than a 20-second soundbite. For example, most folks don't know that the San Antonio City Council has already voted and kind of boxed Bush in as far as moving the cenotaph. The wonderful monument that's been there for over 100 years, that's my understanding, that really celebrates the defenders and heroes, State Board of Education, of the Alamo. And what the problem with that is that once they have by ordinance said that you shall move this, unless he steps up as a leader and says the dickens with your city council ordinance, it looks like he's kind of kowtowing to what they're demanding, what this Democrat city council is demanding.
Well, I mean, it is that, and that's true. He doesn't seem to really
it's a time for leadership.
He's not. He doesn't seem like he's listening to his supporters. At least he's not listening to people in the Republican Party that have deep, Texas roots. that just kind of have an emotional connection to all this this historical type of stuff, especially in an environment where we're looking at maybe removing Sam Houston's statue, which I strongly disagree with. But you have that type of environment. And a lot of people are emotional about this.
This becomes a reduction to absurdity, reductio ad absurdum, to make a legal term. And at some point, we are doing our children, our grandchildren, our posterity a disservice by destroying history. And in some cases, it is better to preserve a bad history in place as a warning than it is to just destroy it and whitewash it and sweep it under the rug.
But then I agree with that. I mean, that's a completely different topic. If you're talking about Confederacy and the Civil War, that's a completely different topic.
You brought that up. I was just talking about history in general.
But if you're talking about Texas history, it's like something just vastly different, because you had people that were like Texas leaders refusing to succeed, refusing to go through that whole thing happening.
Well, let's take it back to the Alamo. You were talking about history here, and I was talking about tearing down history and sweeping history under the rug. Part of the problem with the expanded Alamo plan, or the criticism of the expanded Alamo plan, was you had an artist from Philadelphia who was trying to kind of de-emphasize the Battle of the Alamo itself and expand the 30,000-year history of what happened in that San Antonio region. And the problem is that that's not why people come to San Antonio. They don't come to San Antonio even to find out more about the Rough Riders, who were trained in the backyard of the Alamo, who were key and vital to not only the future of President Theodore Roosevelt, but also the Spanish-American War. They come because of the Battle of the Alamo, the icon of the battle. And for an outside Yankee to come in here and basically de-emphasize the purpose of people coming to the Alamo and expanding it the way that he did to increase the emphasis on 30,000 year history, that again is, you're not communicating to your Texas base, you're not communicating to your outside visitors who come to this UNESCO site, and your folks that want to know more about why Texans are this independent, can-do spirit.
Yeah, I agree. And it's bad news whenever you're messing with the Alamo. And it can't get any more Texas than the Alamo. People jump up and down. They have a strong emotional connection. But how about the fact that Jerry Patterson, a pretty well-known, in a lot of different pockets of the Republican Party, you have him actually endorsing a Democrat, which is a big no-no. But what do you think about that?
I think he's making a statement. He must also be aware that he's never going to run for office again, because when people cross party lines to endorse Democrats, particularly in a race that's clearly going to be won by the Republican, you're committing political suicide. So he must firmly believe that this is his hill to die upon, and that he is going to try to make a statement to all that the handling of the Alamo has not been the way that he would have handled it, and that with the best of intentions, more leadership needs to step up to get the show on the road to protect Texas history.
I'll just be upfront. I can't vote for Bush, and I don't think I can vote for the Democrat either. But there's no way I'm going to vote for George P. Bush. Just no way. I think too many of my family members would be upset with me, both living and deceased. But so do you have any opinions on the Alamo, Philip?
Yeah, well, I think I was more concerned. I won't say concerned. I don't necessarily accept the fact that it would be political suicide to step across the aisle. I think in our PAC, Houston Area Coaching PAC, we do this on a regular basis. I think you have to judge and look at the candidates for who they are, what they stand for, their background, some of their vision as well. Because I know Democrats that love Chris Daniels.
That's true. That's true.
And it's not necessarily because he's a Republican. It's because they think he knows what he's doing. They believe in the direction he's taking the district clerk's office, and it also works on the other side as well. Republicans just can't vote for someone just because they're Republican. Democrats can't vote for someone just because they're Democrat. I know we say it every election cycle, and I know every election cycle they go in and they just click that straight ticket candidate. But I think we have to go down ballot, look and see exactly who's on the ballot, what they're standing for. And a lot of it is kind of hard because you got 70 or 80 different elections, just for the judges. And then you got
75 judges on the ballot.
Right.
We set the Guinness Book of World Records at one point for having one of the longest ballots in North America.
Right. So I know it's difficult to do research on a couple hundred candidates just to go vote, but it's our civic duty. People sacrifice for our right to vote and sacrifice to get there, and it does them justice because these people do affect our daily lives. Whether we like to admit to it or not.
So to be fair, I don't disagree with anything you just said, Phil. I just think that for Jerry to make such a bold statement in a statewide race, he must think that he's not going to run for anything in the future. Now, there's a maxim that my favorite state rep from Kingwood has to say, Dan Huberty, which is if you're explaining, you're losing. And where George P. Bush has himself in the corner right now is that in order to explain this very complicated and very hot topic of the Alamo and where its future is going, he has to go very detailed into a lot of technicalities that the listeners aren't willing to take the time to read about or listen to about. And when you're explaining, you're losing.
So we're talking about statewide races. Let's go to another race that's kind of a bit controversial. Is the Ted Cruz versus Beto. And I find that interesting. You have the National Party, you have Trump coming down supporting Ted Cruz, but you also have Willie Nelson, who's having doing some stuff for Beto. You have a bunch of national money from the Republican Party being poured into Ted Cruz's race because there's genuine fear that he may lose the race. I kind of am. I doubt it, but there is truly genuine fear around a number of pockets. And you also have the polling kind of tightening. One poll at least had it one percentage vote away. Some others 4 or 5, points away. Philip, why don't you start off? What do you think about that?
I think it's a referendum on Trump. I think Ted Cruz and Donald Trump are, I wouldn't call them best friends or second best friends in the whole wide world, but they're pretty aligned as well as some of their politics. And so for this race to even make the headline is, you're right. I definitely think that the numbers show that a Republican, whether it be Ted Cruz or whoever, the numbers show that should be a Republican seat. But for it to even be close or to even be a part of our conversation just shows you that not necessarily Ted Cruz, but in my opinion, his connection to Trump, I think is more so a vote against Trump in that particular seat, in my opinion. And I get them emails from the Democratic Party, the Harris County Party, and so I see the angle they're using as far as fundraising and get out the vote efforts, and they're making that connection.
But what about like the play that Ted Cruz isn't a likable person and that Beto is a much more likable person, a nicer person? And do you see that
a little bit more charismatic?
I see that being pushed, and I'm not saying I agree or disagree with that. I just see that being pushed. What do you think, Chris?
The reason why the National Party is concerned about this race is they're seeing what I'm seeing, where Beto has a rally in Grimes County, Texas. You know what's in Grimes County, Texas? Bunch of cattle and a company that builds the most drill pipe in North America. That's it. And here you have 400 people show up to a rally in Grimes County, Texas. When you have that kind of phenomena occurring, even if it's just every Democrat was 400, it is amazing to see that this enthusiasm is going on across the board. And that's why people are scared about what's happening with Beto. That's why they're concerned.
We'll dig more into it in just a minute. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll get back on that and maybe finish up with Prop B.
Yeah. I
think it's good stuff. Just people are fascinated by it. It's good stuff to talk about. You don't think so? I think it's
well. So what I'm going to lead into about Beto is how he's basically using Trump tactics to define the race, and how Ted has waited too long to take control.
Well, winding people up, get along and live.
I don't know what's going to happen. I think it's more fascinating than anything.
It's that time of the year.
Well, then I'll follow that with getting technical about straight ticket voting and how
that's true.
Beto is a threat. Because if a Republican votes for Beto and they don't do the normal thing where you pull the lever and then change your vote, then they're going to have to vote all the way down the ballot. And after 75 judges, they may just forget to vote for their county judge.
How about 2 years from now? Because that's going to happen in 2 years from now.
That's right. That's right. And frankly, you don't. If you owe $10,000,
all right, if you want to make that, I see the pitch.
You had to go down the Confederate statue thing, huh? I wasn't talking about that.
I had to go down in a second. I had to go down in a second. I had to just kind of flirt with it. Just see what. I had to go with it for a second.
That's a no-win. There are people winning on that.
No, we didn't go into too deep. I had to go there for a second. You know, I'm a sucker.
Just the Sultan's just blowing up your phone as we speak.
And I think it's important that you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company is denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS. Hurricane Harvey hit us all. It feels sometimes like life has gone against us. Take a break from anxiety and fear.
So we had a 2-week break, and we'll be back on this more. It's kind of fun.
Right.
How long's your show?
Just an hour.
Oh, we're almost gone.
You wear many
hats. That's
the
fine.
new business,
Finish it up.
the buying toner for the
How about
company
12 more
share,
minutes?
the sifting through tons of resumes hat. You can throw away that last hat.
Yeah,
at
it is.
Indeed.com.
I just don't think I have the commitment or energy to do much more.
But I know it's tough for all these radio guys. I mean, think about Michael Berry having to come up with an hour every day.
Yeah, but he also doesn't have a job. Not elected. That's all he does.
I
His
just
job
made
is.
hundreds of dollars by switching to
he's a good guy,
Geico.
but it's
I'm
just
as
a lot.
happy as a clam.
I don't necessarily want to be a radio personality. It's fun. I enjoy talking about stuff. Enjoy all the friends.
Yeah, you missed out meeting Steve Johnson from KLOL.
Oh, I saw. Yeah, Danny wanted to go out. I can only do so much. Can only do so much.
Geico.
Get lost. And he was nearby. When he the other side of the street. Okay. Hey guys, we're back. We're gonna wrap this thing up. We're gonna put a nice, good, tight bow on it. We were talking about Beto's race with Ted Cruz, and Chris Daniel was pontificating on, as he does from time to time, on some very interesting and intellectually stimulating, views on that race. You want to go back and?
You betcha. You know, with Robert Francis O'Rourke, the Irishman from El Paso, he is defining his race the way that Donald Trump used the media against the Democratic Party. And he is defining his race in such a way that Ted Cruz has waited way too late to get back on offense and to take the definition away. And so now you have Ted Cruz basically scrambling, whereas before he was almost kind of refusing to debate Beto. Now you have Beto saying, hey, I'm too popular. I'm on this show, on that show, and national media here, national media there. Why on earth would I waste my unearned popularity to lose it all in a debate to a clearly master debater that would be very, very good at basically dissecting and eviscerating Beto on any number of topics. At this point, it is a ground game, and there's going to be a lot of national media coming in. But here's my concern, Eric. With Philip Paul Bryant votes straight Republican normally, which I know he doesn't, but if he were to, and now all of a sudden he's enamored by this John F. Kennedy-esque candidate on the Democrat side, so he decides to vote for Beto. if he doesn't do the educated thing, which is to vote straight and then circle back and vote for Beto, if he goes one by one, by the time he gets halfway down the ballot, he may say, "The dickens with this, I've got lunch, I've got plans, I've got to get on a radio show with Eric Dick," and decide to quit voting. And then he might miss our wonderful county judge. He might miss the district clerk's race, the county clerk's race, the county treasurer's race. He might miss voting for the propositions. And that is a terrible thing, because that is what the party fears, is somebody is going to be enamored by Beto and say, "Well, you know, I love Greg Abbott. Yeah, I love all these other races, but I'm a little tired because I forgot to vote straight and then circle back and change a race."
I hope they forget George P. Bush. If they are going to forget anybody,
Well,
they need to miss that one. Let's kind of what do you think about this Prop B? A lot of people have been talking about Prop B, and I love the firefighters. I can't help but want to support them, and I do support them in Prop B. But Chris, what do you think about Prop B?
You know, as a non-resident of the city of Houston, it would be a shame for me to communicate on this, but I'll go ahead anyway. I'm basically supported by the base of both sides. I'm openly endorsed by HPLU, full disclosure, and I hope to get the endorsement of the firefighters union as well, because I'm already endorsed by the rest of their AFL-CIO brethren. At the same time, I understand why we got to where we are. We're in a situation where the cops have been basically screwed with by the various mayors since Mayor Lee Brown. And these issues didn't go away. And so they came up with a legislative solution to help them. They invited the firefighters to the table, but the firefighters had their own program going on and their own plan. And whether that was a good plan or not as good of a plan, whether they should have played nicely with the police officers or not, is water under the bridge, because now we're at this point in present time. And they have decided to take this to the people as a legislative solution instead of going to the Texas House like the police officers did. Whether that's the best plan or not, again, I don't live in the city of Houston, so it'd be dishonest of me to go further, but I want the folks listening to understand that we arrived at this because of a lack of leadership at City Hall. Period. It's not Sylvester Turner's fault. It's not Anise Parker's fault. It's not Bill White's fault. It goes all the way back to Mayor Lee Brown.
I think it goes before that, but I don't think it. I think, okay, let's kind of take a step back. You've got firefighters making $27,000 a year, which is not very much.
How much?
$27,000 a year.
Is that starting or added?
That's starting.
Wow.
You start at $27,000 a year. And I know there's arguments, okay, they only have to work 2 days a week, but they have to work 24-hour shifts on those 2 days a week. Good luck finding another job. And sure, they have benefits, but you talk about a job where you're running in a fiery building. I think people need to, whenever I ran for mayor, every time I've ran for city council, I've always followed Orlando Sanchez's, motto. Pick a few things, do a good job at it. Public safety, infrastructure, basic city services. That's where you want to spend your money on. Under public safety, you break that down. That's the firefighters. That's the police officers. We want them to do a good job. We want them funded to do a good job. And though I love parks, and I live next to a park, ride my bike on a park, I'd rather be safe and have firefighters, come to my house. Hey guys, remember I support you whenever my house is on fire. Remember, I support you. I'd rather them come to my house and make sure we're safe, make sure my daughters don't burn up in the house, because that would break my heart. And that'd break almost anybody's heart if their house, burns down. But my point is this. If we're talking about being, conservative, at least fiscally conservative on, with the city of Houston, spend the money where we say we're supposed to spend the money. Spend it on the firefighters. Take care of the firefighters, because we need them. At the minimum, if people are, feeling spiteful towards Sylvester Turner, it's kind of a spit in the face to vote for, this, because it limits, it kind of forces Sylvester Turner to spend more money on the firefighters. So I strongly support it for a very, very, very large amount of reasons. Some of them, full disclosure, my dad was a firefighter, a captain and a senior captain at a number of, I think, two 66s and 67s.
So I'm just inherently biased towards firefighters. But on the other hand, as a Republican, as a conservative Republican, I can't help but, it's one of the things we should be doing. Philip, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I definitely think that you have to support the firefighters. And I think they're just basically asking to be on par with their counterparts at the police department, if I'm not mistaken. So you have to support the firefighters. If they need raises, give them a little extra money. I think initially were asking for 3%, but they just were just backlogged from prior years that now they're asking for a larger percentage to try to make up for past years. And if that sends the city, puts the city in a position where they don't necessarily have the revenue to cover it, then that's going to force them to look at other programs and other possible wasteful spending to try to accommodate for that. And so I support the firefighters. I think there also is going to be another proposition about the drainage,
the rain tax.
The rain tax, and so from what I understand, that the courts aren't going to make them refund that money back to the residents, but they're going to allow them to be a little bit more clear on the language. And so the city has some explaining to do in this municipal election cycle.
Well, just as a final word to the listeners, I just want you to understand that after this proposition is voted for or against, with regard to the firefighters, that this problem is not going to go away.
Right.
We got to this problem because the city was upside down on its budget, and various mayors and city councils have tried creative solutions to solve this to no avail. The cops ended up going to legislature to try to seek a solution. The firefighters are going a different direction to seek a solution. With regard to the drainage tax, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Thanks, guys. This is it. We'll see you. I'll see you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Thanks very much. You guys have a great weekend.
That was my diplomatic answer.
That was very diplomatic.
Thanks, guys. We're heading out.
But it's the truth.
Huh. Y'all heard that? You hear that? Yeah, y'all heard that? Y'all need to contact your lawyer before you're listening to this show. It's so spicy. We got so much juice going on today. You better just pull over, call your lawyer right now, and ask him.
There's a lot of people that probably should have called the lawyer before having any other discussions with other people. But, man, welcome to the Eric Dick Show. Man, good to be back on a Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock. It's Eric B. Dick, the homeowner's insurance lawyer, joined today along with myself, Chris Carmona, and our special guest, Ray J. Black Jr.
Oh, boy. And we just got a great, juicy show. Let's just go right at it. What is it? Hurricane Michael hit, and oh, boy, did it just wipe out Florida. Florida's gone.
Man, that is one of the worst hurricanes we've seen here in Florida in a while. But, Houston, we kind of have that, well, what about us type of feeling. And as bad as it was for Florida, we always remind ourselves about Harvey last year. But that's a good reminder that, so many other states and people from around the country, they came through. They picked up the slack and helped where Houstonians needed it, where Texas needed it. So if you have the ability, we got to make sure we pull together and help out Floridians as well.
You're right, man. The worst thing that could happen, you spend few $1 million at a house, and those houses down Pensacola, they're just beautiful, and it just gets wiped out. I hope their insurance companies treat them right, which they probably aren't. But I hope I'm going to be optimistic for a moment. I'm hoping they're going to do the right thing.
Eric, do you think they're actually going to do the right thing?
I don't know.
How long have you been practicing insurance law?
10 years.
And you've been fighting for the homeowners for over 10 years, right?
I have. Yes,
and out of that 10 years, how many times have the insurance companies done the right thing when it comes to covering these types of losses?
Maybe 2.
2 times. Better call Dick.
Okay. So we know Hurricane Michael hit, but we got a lot of other hurricanes brewing in local politics.
Man, which one do you want to start with? The firefighters versus the mayor?
I think we need to talk about the firefighters versus the mayor. We need to bring we got to bring our probate judge in on this to get his opinion.
Yeah, because you know what? That is an important thing. Our special guest today is attorney Ray J. Black Jr. He's also running for probate judge in court number 2, I believe. That's correct. In Harris County. Now, how important is the probate court system in Harris County?
Well, the probate courts, technically a court of last resort, if you will. I mean, that's the last place everybody goes, right?
and when people do pass away and they have some types of defined benefit plan, such as a pension, we see with the firefighters, that can sometimes be litigated in the probate courts, correct?
Absolutely. Anything that's related to an estate of a firefighter passed away, that's something that absolutely would be litigated potentially in probate court.
I mean, so with this, you know, the importance of the probate courts, the importance of firefighters, Eric, give us a rundown, man. What's going on with the fight between the mayor and the firefighters?
Oh, Sly Turner?
Sly. He's a sly man, isn't
he? He wants to have his cake and eat it too. I mean, he's what the firefighters, what my people say, they call him Turncoat Turner. he begged them, oh, please, guys, you guys need to support me because that old bad Bill King, he's going to take it all from you. He's gonna, really throw you right under the bus. And lo and behold, the first chance old Sly got, he just threw those poor firefighters under the bus. You know, he thinks that making $27,000 is just fine.
Now, from what we know, is Houston's not on par with the rest of the major metropolitan cities across the country in terms of firefighter pay, are they?
Not even close. Just starting off, you make $27,000 being a firefighter. And I mentioned that because if I ever stroke out, right, which I'm hoping I don't stroke out, don't want to stroke out, hoping I don't stroke out.
Praise for Eric.
But if I do, I hope the firefighters, they aren't too busy working their spare jobs, falling asleep for working their spare jobs, so they can actually, I want them to be able to be, make an honest living and be able to take care of people. So whenever they're stroking out, they can actually go help them. Isn't that a novel idea?
It is. I mean, I think all of Houston heroes should be adequately compensated. Mr. Black, what do you think?
Well, unfortunately, what I've seen and just going out and about campaigning is this issue has pitted the police officers against the firefighters, which is unfortunate because they both serve our public at large. And we need both adequately equipped and adequately compensated. And so it's unfortunate that you've got this issue. And I've seen statistics like you've mentioned, Chris, where our firefighters don't compare well with other metropolitan areas. And I don't know what the answer is, but it's unfortunate that it's turned out the way it is, where the two groups are at each other and on an issue that you would think would be something everybody could come together on.
They should. Whenever I ran for mayor, and I took the playbook from Rob Mossbacker, public safety, your infrastructure, your basic city services.
Your necessities.
You pick a few things, do a good job at it. But I don't see how we're doing a good job with public safety whenever our poor firefighters, they're making $27,000 a year.
And we can all agree in this room, I think, that there's plenty of money in the budget being wasted in other areas of city government that aren't really necessary services that could be used for the firefighters' pay.
What are you talking about? All that great art and the bike trails. So I think I love the bike trails.
We have to have a green city, Eric. You have to have a green city.
Well, I know, but it might be on fire, but it'll be a green city.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I'm interested to see how this unfolds at the ballot box in November, but something tells me that this fight won't be over in November. That's going to be something that's going to be thrown to the courts, kind of like it has before. So
don't tell them what's going to happen. But what I am happy about is that the firefighters are pushing for what they believe is right. And I just don't think they've gotten a fair rub in this. Kind of some background on this, like how with the firefighters, they had a kind of a better pension, and in return they were paid less. What Sly did is he went to the legislature, cut their pension, so now they're paid less and have kind of a lousy pension. The police, on the other hand, they were paid in advance. They have like a so-so pension. So, really what's happening is the city's, it's overspending and it's trying to basically steal firefighters' money out of it. And they're kind of trying to have their cake and eat it too. And it's morally wrong. I don't see where it's not right. So.
And so if we have any firefighters out there, anybody who supports this or is against this Prop B initiative, give us a call. Let us hear what you think. 713-212-5950. But that's not the only thing that's hot going on in the city of Houston right now. The bombshell just released. The Me Too movement is back, and apparently Sylvia Garcia may be involved with that one. We'll talk about that more.
Oh, boy.
Man.
It is juicy. Don't go anywhere. You're going to hear about Touchy Sylvia soon.
We'll be right back on the Eric Dick Show.
You like that, Touchy Sylvia?
Lord have mercy.
I don't know.
I like it. We'll go with it.
Don't be rash when you do this.
Don't be rash. Oh,
I try not to be rash.
I want to know where it was going before the clerk or the other lady interrupted and unlocked the door.
Just the visual that I got.
Yeah,
that just was not pleasant.
It's not.
I mean, I got two girls, and I'm sitting there going, "Dang gum!" I hear this. They're getting touched here by men, getting touched by women. What the heck?
Yeah.
I mean, your girls are older than mine, Chris.
And now I got to tell them to watch out for both.
Watch out,
man! I've been overprotective on these. Side.
I didn't think that would happen. I didn't think if you run around, oh, you want to see my rash? Well, I'm not a doctor. Well, you want to be my doctor today?
Oh man, that's crazy, man.
Oh, how about the stuff with Jolanda, like HISD?
Yeah, hey, I got that. We'll finish the Garcia stuff, then move on to the HISD stuff.
We gotta get both Garcias.
So so HISD removed the interim superintendent this past week, and they said it was all just right down race lines, blacks on one side, Hispanics on the other side, and they put back in Abe Savada, and I guess he was removed a long time ago. He's a former superintendent, and Yolanda's like, it's all about race.
I'm shocked because it's all a bunch of Democrats.
Yeah.
So are they saying the Democrats are racist?
Yeah, so that's how we got to talk about it.
Does seem very
dude. I think it's this Democrat momentum, our alleged momentum, it's just crumbling, man. I think the Republicans may sweep now. I was a little.
I hope you're right.
I think it was a little iffy before.
I was getting pulled under this morning that they're still sketchy.
It's not in the clear.
We gotta talk about Emmett too. Emmett's move, which is
Emmett's with the we'll tie that in with the HIC about the Denver Cubs and then
going to Emmett.
Yeah, they go with Emmett.
I see Emmett's play. Actually, I don't think it's a bad play. He's trying to break the street party vote.
Dude, the Dems are crumbling, man. They are literally crumbling. I mean, how can you? It's all self-induced. It's all self-induced.
Well, to be fair, the Beto is pretty much self-induced from Ted, kind of not being sensitive enough.
Whoever has these signs out there that says "Beto, stop texting me," I think it was Pyropack. Pyropack people, great, good guys, man, but that was just not a good idea because all it does is give Beto some more name recognition. You're driving by, you don't know what says Beto. It says Beto. So
I know. I told him that too. Yeah. That Beto Pirate Pack.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. All right, they'll come back in about 25 seconds. Yes, Roseanne, you know what I'm talking about. Hey, but they were trying. All right.
Did you pull over? Did you talk to your lawyer? Can you tune in now? Is it okay? You guys clear it? Because I'm telling you, it's about to get really, really juicy.
If you haven't got legal counsel before, now's the time. And man, all right, so before we left off, man, this Sylvia Garcia thing, it's fire. So apparently, everybody was up in arms about these allegations from years ago with the Supreme Court nomination process. Well, now Sylvia Garcia has these same allegations from 20 years ago with a female staffer of hers.
Don't be rash, Chris. Don't be rash. What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. about touchy Sylvia?
I mean, there's always been some allegations about, the other Garcia running in precinct 2, calling him Grabby Garcia, but now it's like everybody's last name Garcia running for office seems to have this problem, or alleged problem. I mean, what's going on over there? What's going on with the Democrats on the east end of Harris County?
So what happened there? Wasn't it just some female staffer and what Sylvia's like, well, I got a rash. You want to see this rash?
Yeah,
pulls off her pants, runs around with her panties, rubbing it on her.
Yeah, from what I read in this affidavit, or the portion I got, I mean, it's pretty gruesome or pretty detailed in terms of Sylvia wanted her lead clerk to examine her as if she was a doctor and made her feel very uncomfortable. Mr. Black, in this age of Me Too, does that bode well for voter confidence in Senate District 29 going forward in November? Congressional District 29, sorry.
I would think not. I mean, with this Kavanaugh stuff in such recent times, and the new standard that's apparently out there with how we deal with accusations, I can't imagine this being a good thing for Sylvia Garcia or anybody else that's facing such interesting allegations.
So does she need to step down or resign, because that was the Democrats' main thing against Brett Kavanaugh? He can't be a public official, can't be anything on the Supreme Court because he has these allegations. So do we now hold that standard for Sylvia Garcia?
I wish, but it's probably just like with Sheila Jackson Lee. Her constituents just don't care. If she wants to go around touching some girls, well, that's just touchy Sylvia. That's what she does. And that's, unfortunately, you have another person, you have Congresswomen, Sheila Jackson Lee. She does all sorts of crazy stuff, and she gets voted in every time. Yeah. So you're also going to have her counterpart, touchy Sylvia Garcia, run around chasing women.
Well, Philip Aronoff, who's running against her in this November, he's going to have an uphill battle on this, but at least that's something he may want to use as an arsenal when he's talking to voters today. I don't have any allegations of people, touching people inappropriately, and so if that's something that really moves the Democrats, maybe that's something he needs to focus on.
What Philip should at least say is, whenever you are going around her, just don't take your girls, don't take your kids.
and that's a valid concern. I mean, I know we talk about it loosely, but I mean that's a valid concern, because these allegations in the affidavit says it wasn't the first time, and there were multiple other occurrences and instances. So the Dems are going to have a problem with that going forward.
What else is interesting about Sylvia Garcia's race is that it's set up where a potential Republican could take that spot next year and during the special election. So Sylvia Garcia is just she's ran for office so many times it makes everyone in this room just look bad. And because we have not been nearly as active in running and losing elected offices as Sylvia Garcia has. Yeah. County commissioner, with state
City
Senate,
Council for a while.
City Council, and now U.S. Senate. No, not U.S. Senate, U.S. House. Thank the Lord she's not running for U.S. Senate.
Not yet.
Give her a minute.
I mean, that's just one, internal debate, internal conflict they're going to have. The Dems are going to have this November. Another one that's unfolding in front of our eyes we've seen this week is HISD, Houston Independent School District. Eric, what's going on over there?
What I always find amazing is the level of just problems with HISD. When I say problems, you've got the former president who got convicted of, criminal acts, stealing money, embezzling money. You've got them basically losing $20 million. I don't know how you lose $20 million. I don't know how you lose $1 million.
I'm trying to find a way to find $20 million.
But for some reason, they're really good at losing money. But now, apparently, this is the most Democrat HISD we've ever had. Every single person there is a Democrat. I don't even know if there's a man there. I think it's all female Democrats.
Well, Sergio Lira just got elected to replace Manny Rodriguez in that special election last year. So you do have him on there.
So you have one man.
I think that
everyone else is a woman. And you have what you have going
Lunsford. Lunsford's on there, right?
No, Lunsford's not on there. Lunsford was there.
Okay, that's right. Lunsford's out.
It's all Democrat women, save and except that one guy.
That's true.
And you have basically allegations and a movement that there's a lot of racism happening from the trustees. So my question is, because Republicans always get bummed with you're racist this, you're racist that. Well, hot dog, they're actually literally saying racism, and it's going on in HIC. It's all Democrats.
Yeah, we just got confirmation. There's only one man on the HIC board at this time. And you bring up a good point, though. So, from what I understand, the argument was this week is HISD is 70% Hispanic in terms of student population. And apparently there was conflict in terms of the allegations from, at least from Jolanda Jones, was that the non-black board members said they wanted better representation from the superintendent that reflected the body of the students. And so there was a vote to remove the interim superintendent. Wasn't a permanent, but an interim superintendent, because we're still trying to find a replacement from Carranza when he left up to New York. And so Grenita Lathan was a black female, and they removed her as the interim and put her back into a regular position. And they're saying that the vote was straight down, the black board members on one side, non-black board members on the other side. Is there race division going on at HISD? And with the Democrat HISD board, does that help or hurt Republicans or Democrats in this November election?
I think it just hurts. It hurts the students. Those are the people that have been completely taken advantage of the whole way through. What do you think, Ray?
Well, the issues clearly impede what the board is there to do, which is govern for the sake of the students. And this HISD has had a history of poor governance because of issues like this that take apparently precedence over what they're elected to do. And I think it sounds like, regardless of the makeup of the board politically, it sounds like if you view every problem as a nail, every solution is the hammer, and that's what they do, regardless of who's there. And the students, as Eric said, are the ones that lose out.
Yeah, and that brings me to a point, because there's always been some underlings and some undertones of, we need to get rid of the Harris County Department of Education because it serves no purpose. Doesn't? But when you see HISD in such disarray, couldn't you make the argument that the Harris County Department of Education can actually be the hero in these types of incidents? And they can. Is there a role? Eric, you're a trustee on the board. Is there a role that the Department of Ed could be playing in this scenario?
I'm actually the vice president there too, and before I understood what the Department of Education was, I jumped up and down and said we should get rid of it because I thought it was just a wasteful government entity. I thought it was redundant to HISD, and as I've looked at it, and I've looked more in detail on it, anything that kind of takes away from HISD is a good thing. Because there's no saving HISD. I have actually changed my opinion that we need to abolish HISD and break it up. It is just so insane. The shenanigans never end. For the last 6 years I've been paying attention to HISD. It's just problem after problem after problem. So I think the best role like a Department of Education could have is, go back to its original purpose. If there's problem with the, local school ISDs, break them up, separate them out. That's what I think would be the best role for, the Department of Education. Absent that, trying to, do what it can to, not be exceptionally wasteful, which is easy. Yeah. All the department has to not do is take a bunch of money and get some gas and just set it on fire. As long as they don't do that, we're good. Because
the Department of Education actually runs at a surplus. They're never over budget. They actually are probably the most efficient countywide government organization. Is that correct to say?
That actually it's true. We are $30 million in the black. Usually these government agencies involving education are in the red, but we're $30 million in the black, $100 million budget a year. We do a decent job. I'm not going to give it an A. I'd give it like a B minus, C plus. It has room for improvement. But what it's not doing is taking money and just throwing it away like HISD.
Yeah, and that's the problem with HISD, man. Is just watching that this week and seeing how, again, that racial divide, how these students are going to be the ones affected. They're going to start having that tension. I don't want to see a black versus Hispanic rivalry start in the city of Houston. I don't want that going, started in HISD, in the schools or on the board. But I'm sure it's going to you know, we say political affiliation doesn't matter, but they're all Democrats, and they're going to start turning on each other. And there's going to be a lot of people who start saying, don't vote for Democrats, don't vote here, don't vote there. And so there's going to be a lot of party switching or party lines being drawn. And we'll talk about some other star-studded county officials who are also going to say, jump over party lines when we come back.
Don't go anywhere. Eric Dick Show. We're just warming up, folks. You better talk with your lawyer.
Don't be wrong.
I had to.
That's great.
I had to.
Hey, we're pretty creative to be able to weave all this in and out and make it all relevant.
You know, I actually, I thought, listening to it, it's listenable. It's not a. I'm glad that we're more positive, or at least humorful. Than,
Yeah, we're not bashing, bash like some people always are.
It's exhaustive.
All right, so we'll come back on around 33.
Yeah.
Am I doing okay?
Oh, you're doing great.
You're
You're doing great.
Your time to shine after Emmett.
I have no idea.
Just talk about. We can just go over the basics about what's a good judge, what's a bad judge.
Yeah,
Ex-party communication, bad.
Yeah. We've had some of that happen recently over in Brazoria County.
There's certain let's just go to the basic things you're supposed to do as being a judge. You're just supposed to be fair, listen to everybody. And this is one of the most sensitive times of their life. Well, actually, not in their life, but in the beneficiaries' lives. And it's a stressful time. It actually can be nastier than family law because people get weird around money. There's a whole lot.
Yeah, the problem. I mean, that's
like law. You're fighting with your mom. But you're fighting with somebody else's mom.
Yeah, and
it's
probate's the dirtiest of all of them. They really are.
It is the dirtiest of all. It's so. If I wasn't doing insurance law, probate law is pretty dang entertaining. Yeah. It's pretty you see some stuff there.
Well, you got the one with the Anna Nicole Smith one was the classic one. That was in the court I'm running.
And then he hopped on that somehow with the family was the grandmother, right? Anna Nicole's grandmother, or who was it?
Oh no, who was it? Give me a second.
You somehow got involved in that.
I did get involved in that. It was a defamation suit against.
Roseanne, to answer your question, it was allegations. So the allegations are out there. I don't know
a defamation suit.
Whether or not it happened or not, but it's allegations.
They were suing my gal. So I don't. You know what? I don't. This was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's been that long.
713-212-5950.
Juicy stuff.
Somebody wants to call in. So.
It
does. Yeah,
it
it does. The time flies. Anybody on the phone lines? Nobody?
No.
What's wrong with that?
It's football season.
It is football season. Hey, Irma.
Got a lot of people watching though.
Nah, I think Carmona is done. Now he's just there for entertainment purposes. But yeah, if y'all want to call in, just to talk about a lot of things going on. 713-212-5950. Hey, Berg. Berg, are you going to call in? You should call in and say you have some questions for us.
Just make up something, right?
And also, since we're always looking for more people to add on to the allegation story, if you've been affected by the state senator in District 6, Silvio Garcia, please let us know. We'd love to have the exclusive on this going forward.
Yeah, Touchy Garcia.
Because if Touchy Garcia's touched one, there may be more out there. And
Probably did touch more. She
before
tried to show you her rash. Took off her pants.
About it.
Don't be.
But yeah, so if anybody else knows anything, let us know. Give us the exclusive. Let us break the news.
Man, Chris, I got this really bad rash on my leg, and I don't know. You want to see it?
No, you know who doesn't need to see it though is your lead clerk if you had one.
Okay, guys, we're back.
All right.
Oh boy. So what happened this week was just giant with Ed Emmett, old hunker down. He said that. Well, one, he got the Chronicles endorsement.
He got the Chronicles endorsement.
I was shocked.
He was excited.
Oh, I was shocked. Who would have thought that the Chronicle would endorse old Hunker Down? And doesn't he live over at the Astrodome? Isn't that where he lives now?
I think he has a personal suite being built underneath. So when we have the next hurricane, he can hunker down in his personal private villa.
I mean, he loves that Astrodome. So anyway,
who doesn't he love?
Oh, he doesn't love Lieutenant Dan. He doesn't love Dan Patrick, apparently.
Man, in a bombshell announcement this week, Ed Emmett, the Harris County judge, has publicly stated he didn't just say he was not going to vote for the Republican nominee for lieutenant governor. He went out and made sure he stated, I am going to vote for the Democrat, Mike Collier. That's huge. How does that affect Republicans down ballot? As someone who's on the ballot in November, Ray J. Black Jr., how does that affect you and the rest of your brethren running for judge this November that the county judge has come out and said, break up the ticket and cross party lines?
Well, since this is the last year, we're going to have straight party voting here in Harris County. It's important, I think, at least for Republican judges, that we get as many straight party voters as we can. I know that Judge Emmett does great work for the county, always has, and is very popular. But he's also not one to shy away from supporting Democrats and Republicans both. So I guess it remains to be seen whether those comments and the Chronicles endorsement are going to have any adverse effect on the Republicans, but I certainly hope it doesn't.
Do you remember Lloyd Oliver?
I do remember Lloyd Oliver.
You remember what Lloyd Oliver said that got him kicked off the ballot?
He was supporting the Republican nominee.
Yeah, he was. So my question is, Lloyd Oliver, Democrat for DA, he said, I think he said basically he was going to support. I don't even think he said he was going to vote for. He just said he'd prefer like some type of Republican over Democrat. And lo and behold, the Democrats are so outraged by Lloyd Oliver. The Tea Party Democrat, as he called himself. They were so upset about that Tea Party Democrat, they kicked him off the ballot. Will that happen here?
Well, I think it's too late there because that was in the primary situations. I don't think they're going to kick him off the ballot, but I understand Emmett's position because he's a very strong candidate countywide. And he doesn't really necessarily need every single Democrat to win or every single Republican to win because he does have enough crossover appeal. But was it necessary in this instance to take that last jab? Because everybody's saying this is Emmett's last tenure or last term once he wins. Was it necessary or was that just a potting shot to go as he leaves his last election?
So if you're looking at it strategically, it could be necessary because you have like this overtone of Beto and him pushing for Harris County and likely to win Harris County. The question should become, how much does Beto win Harris County by? Does he win it by 10, 15% like Hillary did 2 years ago? Or does he just barely win it or even hypothetically lose it like with like Ted Cruz, his election 6 years ago, where Ted Cruz just squeaked Harris County?
He did. And that's the thing. With the county so competitive, I'm shocked. I am truly shocked that the Harris County Republican Party chairman would not have that discussion with Ed Emmett prior to making such a bold statement. But am I shocked that he didn't? I'm probably lying if I say I'm shocked.
Well, let's kind of go into that. Just a minute. This is a good thing to kind of.
I'll let y'all talk about that one.
Let me veer off just for a minute on this because you got, if I remember right, the financial chair of the Republican Party, who also is very influential in an organization, and that organization endorses Democrats. So you have that kind of tying on. The HRBC, who endorsed Democrats over Republicans, though it did primarily endorse Republicans, it's an alleged Republican organization that does support Democrats. To deny that is to be dishonest. And you have someone with such close alliance to the Republican Party, that brings me some pause. It also brings me some pause that the consultant for the local Republican Party is tied in with Strauss and just an excruciating moderate. All this tied together with, guess who was on air saying vote for Paul Simpson? It was Ed Emmett.
No.
So
no,
I don't know.
Don't say it ain't so.
Oh, so you see all this stuff going on, all this loosey goosey Republican winking, playing footsies with Democrats. You wonder, is this like an inside job to sabotage in some certain races? I don't know. I hope it's not. I'm going to be positive about it. But dadgum, there's a lot there.
And that's the thing. The party has given full resources to Ed Emmett and the likes like Sarah Davis, who's very in a competitive district herself. And there's always that preach about big tent. But when you take a shot at an ultra-right conservative like Dan Patrick, is the Harris County Republican Party truly a big tent party now? Or is it just saying if you're not moderate, probably don't have a spot here for you?
Yeah. Well, I
don't know. I mean, those are the questions that are probably going to be answered soon enough.
Big tent when it's convenient for the party. Whenever you're paying to play, it's big tent.
Yeah.
So let's kind of maybe turn the page.
Well, now we have the election coming up. That's true. And, today's special guest is a longtime practicing lawyer, great mind, great scholar, good friend of mine, and also a stout judicious mind. That is Mr. Ray J. Black Jr. Welcome to the Eric Dick Show.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Eric.
And
Glad to
so
be here.
you are running for, like I said earlier, the Harris County Probate Court number 2. And that's a very special court in Harris County because there's 4 of them, because the legislature has specifically drawn out in certain jurisdictions, you have a specific probate court instead of just going to a regular district court or a county court, correct?
Correct. And they primarily sit in the major metropolitan areas here in Texas. There's an exception to that. But in Harris County, as you said, we have 4 statutory probate courts. They're specialized courts, and they're courts of original jurisdiction for probate cases, guardianship cases, fiduciary litigation, and elder law and mental health issues. And because they're specialized, their jurisdiction is actually broader than your average probate court. So there are issues that can be related to probate or guardianship cases that are not probate and guardianship related or specific, but they get drawn into probate courts, and so they have broad jurisdiction. The same as you might find in a district court, for example, where they hear personal injury cases, so can a statutory probate court, or they can hear divorce cases and family law, so can a statutory probate court if it's related to their underlying issues.
Incident appertaining to an estate or one action.
And so one of those would be if, for example, if there's a wrongful death action, if it's there in probate, during the probate period, and someone in the family files a wrongful death, would that go to the probate court or would that go to the district court?
It depends on the filing of matters. So sometimes those cases get filed separately. So if you have a personal injury case where someone dies or is severely injured, then the probate or the guardianship, if there's one, may get filed over in the statutory probate court, but the personal injury case may end up over in district court to start. But it's not uncommon for those personal injury cases to get drawn back into probate court if it warrants a transfer. And it's not unheard of. In fact, for years, when I first started practicing, when the district court dockets were so backlogged, it was not uncommon for cases to get pulled over in probate court because they had more time to hear the cases, and you got a lot faster a trial schedule, and you got a result quicker than you might in district court.
Okay, and so another example, say I have a guy that owes me maybe $200,000 and he passes away. I mean, I'm sure I still want to collect my money somehow. Where do I go and file suit to collect my money from that estate?
So as a creditor of somebody's estate, if there's a estate pending, you can file a claim in that estate for the amount that you believe you're owed. There's a process for that. And so it's important, as Eric says all the time, you need to get your lawyer involved. But it is a very complicated process at times. The probate system is statutory in nature. There's a huge estates code that your average lawyer, I think, can even be intimidated by because it's just so much to wade through when you have issues like that. But that's where they would file it in the probate court in the estate. Or if there's not one pending, they can even open an estate for that deceased person as the creditor. and they can proceed with their claim that way.
I just note that the probate code is it's exceptionally complicated. And I think complicated's the best way to explain it, because you have some parts of the law that say one thing, and then lo and behold, you got other parts of the law that say something completely different. So you've got
Almost contradictory.
It is contradictory. So it's difficult, I'd say, for the average lawyer, probably even difficult for the average probate lawyer to understand probate law. And I'm so happy we have you here today, Ray, because not only is he just a nice guy, which is really, really, really important for being a judge, Ray actually understands the law, which is rare. But
because it is a complicated part, like you said. I mean, he can not only just hear probate matters, but because it's called the probate court, but he hears a lot of other things. Let me ask you this, because this is a question that we sometimes get, and maybe we'll have to answer it on the way back. But hold that thought, because a lot of things in Harris County surround about this immigration debate. Does that tie to probate? We'll find out.
Oh, next, you guys stick in.
We'll find out soon.
Eric Dick Show, stick with me.
So what is the question?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so when schools, so you have school districts, and you have families who, they have kids that are over here, but not necessarily the parents, but they have relatives that live there, and so the kids want to stay with the relatives and go to a school here. School sometimes says, okay, we need somebody that says they're the guardians. Does that, do you need an actual guardianship? Or do you just have to have a power of attorney over the body, or the person, not the estate?
Gotcha. No, the answer.
With the parents back in whatever country, does it go? That's so. Because I get that question a lot.
We got a phone call from Buck Humble. He wants to talk about a touchy Adrian Garcia.
Yeah.
Grabby Garcia.
Grabby Garcia. Oh.
Okay, so we have a call that he wants to talk about Adrian Garcia, and his name is Buck Buchanan.
Buck Buchanan. We know Buck Buchanan.
I'll talk about Grabby
I
Garcia.
figured you must.
Buck I have a picture of Buck taking my son.
The name of the show is The Eric Dick Show. It's on KPRC AM 950 right there. So, and then Eric, right here. So yeah, if you go on to 950 AM on your radio or go on the iHeartMedia app, look for it. You'll see it. We're on live right now. Man, why don't y'all tell me my hair was already discombobulated? Y'all gotta look out for me. Y'all are looking out for me today.
I have a face for radio.
That's I got a face.
Today truly is the face for radio. The number is 713-212-5950. So if y'all want to call in again, 713-212-5950.
Grabby Garcia.
Touchy Sylvia. Grabby Garcia.
You just don't go. You go into you go into precinct 2. Unless
You go to the East End.
Unless Mormons around watching you, you're gonna get touched. Thank God you got a Mormon right there. I'm trying to get them off you. Fighting Jack, just fighting them away the molesters.
My hair? Come on. Nah, it's usually nice and, some little fluff in there. Now, I think it's because I put that water on in the headphones. Leave me alone.
The softball practice court.
Post practice.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's because normally my whole body hydrates from these drinks, but I grabbed the wrong one today. I got the honey instead of the cinnamon. Yeah. The honey helps the curls lay down flat. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. 10 seconds. So Buck comes on. There you go.
All right, folks, we're back for the final segment of the Eric Dick Show, and I hear someone's calling and want to talk about Grabby Garcia. You better watch out if you're in the East End. You better watch out. You got 2 elected officials that got some slippery hands. Going to touch you. You there? You there, Buck? Hey, man, what's going on? Welcome to the Eric Dick Show. Please.
And I don't know how he won in the first place. But then after he was elected sheriff, midterm, he quit to run for mayor. Adrian Garcia was an HPD officer, city councilman. Then he ran for sheriff, and he wasn't running for the people. He was running for himself. And then he ran for congressman and lost. Well, he ran for mayor and then lost. And then he ran for congressman. Now he's running against Commissioner Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't live in Commissioner Mormon's district. But how does Adrian Garcia get elected like that when he stays nowhere? Do y'all have any answer for that?
The sheeple.
The people on the East End, they know Adrian Garcia, but he always gets elected. And I was just wondering if Republicans would be helping Adrian get in there.
There are a sliver of Republicans that do support him. People like Jacob Motti, which I kind of wonder why he feels the need to support Adrian Garcia. But, you know, on the other hand, you have fighting Jack Mormon, who he has a lot of bipartisan support. Jack he's a good guy. He's the real deal. He really is just a people's person. It's kind of shocked me whenever I first met him and how so there's a tie in here. You got Touchy Sylvia, who got arrogant being a county commissioner. She had $2 million in the bank and just did nothing, figured that she was gonna be a county commissioner, get all of her secretaries to sit in her lap. It was gonna be a good time. But, while she was too busy, I guess, doing what she was doing, fighting Jack Mormon got in there and he won. He won by doing the basic things, going door to door, letting everybody know it was time for a change. He's going to do a good job. And the guy he really has done a good job. I don't see him losing Precinct 2. I just don't see it. He has run such a tight campaign. He's been everywhere. If you're in Precinct 2, you're going to walk around. You're just going to see him just driving by. That guy is everywhere in Precinct 2. And if there's just like a bike show, you're going to see him there.
He's everywhere. And so, but to answer your question, I mean, Adrian, got elected in, I think it was 2008, first as sheriff.
It was against Tommy Thomas.
Against Tommy Thomas, and you got to keep in mind at that time there was some internal issues going on with the Thomas campaign and the administration, and so that's how Adrian was able to get the confidence of the county people. But thanks for the call, Buck.
Let's move on to Jim. You there, Jim? Hey, Jim.
Did we lose Jim?
I don't know. You there, Jim? Yes, sir. What's going down? Welcome to the Eric Dick Show.
I love y'all and I continuously support. And I just had a quick question in regards to the law career. Chris Carmona is actually a Facebook friend, and I heard about it through his promotions on his Facebook Live right now. So what's up, Chris? Thank you.
What's going on, Jim?
Hey, man, I'm on 1L year at Texas Southern University, Thurgood Marshall School of Law, and I just wanted to ask some advice in regards to pursuing my career as an attorney. Is there any advice that you might have before I finish and I graduate as far as positioning myself in a way where I can, maximize my opportunities? I definitely want to make sure I preserve my energy.
Absolutely. Network. You want to build your network. That's the best thing you do. I know a lot of people are going to focus on getting good grades, make sure you're at the top of your class. And that's important to make sure you pass, but your network is going to be the thing that makes you successful. And another thing, get politically involved, because law and politics go hand in hand. And one way or the other, you're always going to be involved somehow. And the more you know, the more people you know, it's going to enhance your network. But it's also going to give you brighter minds to surround yourself with. And it's going to surround yourself with people who actually make decisions once they get elected on the bench. You'll have that opportunity to know their mindset because you converse with them, you hang around with them, and you network with them. So build your network.
Also,
I would say both.
You want to meet and talk with as many people as you can, because the non-attorneys will end up being your clients. The attorneys you'll end up dealing with, they'll be friends, they'll mentors, mentees, just people that you pick each other's mind. Because cool, man. Thank you.
Don't forget your classmates too, because those are people you're going to continue to network with the rest of your career, and you don't know what they're going to do as they progress through their legal career, and you're going to touch base with them for years to come.
And you talk about the network. One of my friends, I'm involved in Young Republicans across the country, and one of my network group, Matthew Gilson, just joined on my live feed. I got people in New Jersey, California, Omaha who refer. So just make sure you build that network and don't just stay local. Build your national network. So thanks for the call, Jim.
Hey, so thank you. Hey, we have Ahmed. Hey, man, what's going down? Welcome to the Eric Dick Show.
Exciting when we talk about politics in America. That's why I'm personally writing a book, which is not done yet, going to be Immigrants for America. I ran for county commissioner, I ran for county judge, I ran for youth Congress, I ran Republican, Democrat, Independent in Kansas, and I'm here. But you know what? I love America. Last election in year 16, I was the Democratic nominee for county judge. Okay?
Congratulations.
I have a law degree. I have a doctorate degree. I have a security clearance from the feds in all three.
Wow.
I'm highly educated. I'm a businessman. And guess what? Because the name Hassan always can beat me in the primary. And that's why I keep running. Because the people, they need to change their image. They love you as a lawyer, as a businessman, as a doctor, as whatever. But when it comes to election, they do not vote for a name, which is sad, because we all immigrants, but people don't realize that. That's a name.
All right, thanks for the call, man. Thank you. We'll keep that in mind going forward. We have to make sure we just look past names, and we appreciate the call.
We really do, man. And sometimes, thank you so much. And we're sorry, we're running out of time. Didn't mean to really cut you off, but with names, you just got to keep running. I have an odd last name. Some people consider it a lot of different. A lot of different people have different opinions on it.
Yeah. And so, again, one last question in terms of probate. While we have Ray Black here, does immigration in any way play a role in the probate court, especially in Harris County? There's always that the issue of immigration that pops up one way or the other. Does that play a role in the probate courts? And if people are parents from another country want to send their kids to Harris County to live with a relative, do they need to go through the probate process for that?
Well, it depends. If the school district, which oftentimes needs someone with some legal authority to speak or make decisions on behalf of the child who may be here, you may actually have them ask that a guardian get appointed for the minor to have some legal authority to make decisions for them. And if that's true, then of course the probate courts are the place to go. That's where we do guardianships, and we do them for everybody who is fitting in the statute as someone who's, as they claim, incapacitated. But being a minor is part of the definition of being incapacitated. So they fit into the system. And as needed, we take care of those minors. It's not uncommon. It doesn't have to just be with the school district. We see that all the time. We talked earlier about personal injury cases. Personal injury cases affect everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're a U.S. citizen or not. In your case, may end up in probate court. So we cover all facets of that. And while we don't deal with immigration directly, we certainly deal with people who have an issue.
Thank you, guys. Don't forget to vote. Election's coming soon. Thank you so much, Ray Black. He's a great guy.
He is, and Ray is again one of the most knowledgeable attorneys I know, not just on probate, but with a lot of things. So remember, November, look for those names on the ballot, people that you can trust, and Ray Black is one of them. And also remember that if you have the need for someone to fight for you because of some homeowner insurance disputes, insurance company's not taking care of you, who do they need to call?
Better Get Dick. Eric Dick.
Better Get Dick, Eric Dick. And it's been a pleasure spending some time with y'all on this Saturday afternoon. Chris Carmonas here with Ray J. Black Jr. and Eric B. Dick. Take us away, Eric.
Next time. See you guys next week. Y'all have a great weekend. Bye. That was fun. It's always fun.
Guys, thank y'all again. Thanks for the calls.
See you
And,
guys.
thanks for the feedback. I'll get back to y'all. Peace.